What is up, everybody? Welcome to I Came With Fire season 2026. Christmas break was definitely too short, but man, it does feel like it's been forever since we've been in here and hung out with you guys in the chat. The chat is looking a little slim right now.
What's going
Some of
on?
the OGs might be hanging out and jumping in later, but that's okay. A lot has changed in America since we last talked. Trump really said, "New year, new me." And meant it. We're out here snatching up dictators, talking about either buying or taking Greenland by force and dropping in to say hello to Russian flag tankers. And Nick Shirley ensured that Tim Walz was cyber-bullied so hard he bowed out of the governor race faster than
Yeah,
he
he
bowed
did.
out of a combat deployment. So it's been a wild one, cowboys and cowgirls, and I wouldn't want to talk about it with anyone but you guys. But if you are new here, welcome in. I promise you're not wasting your time. Say hi to, want to say hi to all the new followers, especially those of you that hit me up on Instagram and went and came over here and found the Rumble channel. So like I said, in one of our recent reels, if you're looking for a principled community of men and women who know a few things because they've seen a few things, this is your place. So park here right here and hang out because we are your official late night entertainment here over on Rumble. And if you're watching on YouTube, just hop on over and hang out in the Rumble chat. I promise it's better over here. You're not going to be alone over there. And typically there's a lot more people hanging out in the chat. I haven't checked it out again. Let's see. We got Ratchet. We got Donna. There we go. Now I know. Now I know the fam is here. And do us a big favor. Whack that follow button. Give the video a thumbs up. And if you're feeling generous, hit the repost because it really helps us out over here on Rumble. Leave us a nice comment. And we are I Came With Fire podcast. I'm your host, Brandon. I'm a veteran father and husband. And we are here to be a bridge in the divide, your source for objective truth and educated opinion. Reminder that this is a 360-degree two-way range. So if you walk on, be prepared to take some frag. Chris and I are going to say whatever we actually think, whether it follows your party line or not. So put on a helmet, grab a flak jacket. The range is now hot. It's probably a good time to get to Chris's cuck disclaimer while there's still time to do this, to be honest,
I know.
because you're running out of days. You're running out of
2026,
days.
not a new me, and I still have to do this thing. So let's give it the people what they came for, dude.
That's what I'm saying, dude.
Oh, can he still do it? Let's see. Any opinions that you hear here on this channel belong completely and totally to the hosts and the guests. They do not represent the United States Army, the Department of War, or any other entity within the United States government. Hey, I didn't forget.
You didn't. I gotta know, dude, is this an Upper Room or whatever that movie's called reference, Dr. Calmel? Oh, hi, Mark. Is that what that is? Is that reference? Chris, do you know what I'm talking about?
I sure don't. I got left behind.
Oh no, dude, this is like the worst movie ever made, but it's so bad, it's that good. Like Cat Milk, you need to let me know.
It's like going nail in spades. Like if you cross over from being bad.
It almost is worth you just going to YouTube real quick and finding, oh, hi, Mark, and then putting it up, dude. It's so bad. Let me know, Cat Milk in the chat, if that was a reference to that movie. I cannot remember the name of it, dude. That guy is absolutely insane. He's like I want to say he's like maybe a Ukrainian or like Polish immigrant who came to the United States and really he's a real person, wanted to be a filmmaker and just completely and totally sourced the money for this movie and made it. And it's just absolute ass, but it's so good because it's absolute ass. Anyway. Yeah. Well, thank you for disclaiming us, dude. We got to do a real fast shout out to our sponsors, which you guys can obviously find in the show notes. We have Honor Tribe Outdoors, which the OGs in the chat will know already, but Honor Tribe is a veteran-owned and operated business. They take veterans, combat vets, and Gold Star family members out for hunting and fishing trips. As you guys know, the community is a really big deal for veterans and especially those Gold Star family members. So Honor Tribe is looking to just give back to vets and their families. And if you want to donate to an amazing cause, you can head to their website and donate through their website. Or if you feel like leaving a Rumble rant in the show chat, just make sure you indicate that it's for HTO or Honor Tribe, and 100% of that is going to go right to Honor Tribe. But we've also got Kill Cliff Energy, which obviously is one of the best clean energy, hydration, and CBD recovery drinks on the market. Like I always say, the Orange Crush CBD. And Chris has got the Joe Rogan Flaming Pineapple. That actually is really, really good. I like that one.
This is my personal favorite, though.
Which one? Oh, the dude, I actually, yes, the cherry lime. That one's really good. But I love Kill Cliff. They make a lot of really good stuff. And then we obviously have some badass merch over at redpillthreads.com/I Came With Fire. And Chris is going to pull that up. This is your last shot, you guys, to get the I Came With Fire Christmas t-shirt.
I think you got to get it in red. Definitely looks best in red.
It does look best in red. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, gotta snag you one. They're coming down after this week, so if you want one, make sure you get one. We got a lot of classics up there too.
Guaranteed to
You guys
get
already
you
know.
banned at work, as we've learned.
Sorry, Alicia says she got banned at work, or at
Yeah.
least from wearing the shirt.
Yeah, I think she said that they're no longer allowed to wear any shirts with logos on them because of
Right,
her. So, dude,
right.
if you don't get a law passed because of you, did you even live? You know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying.
They don't put up a
This is
sign because of you.
it's kind of like getting the safety brief, right?
Yeah,
You're
exactly.
responsible for a safety brief.
Exactly. If you don't get
Like
something added to the safety brief because of you, were you even
that's
here?
right. Like don't de-pants and sit on a glass jar, right? Dr. Catmilk said, yes, that it's the room, not the upper room. I think the upper room
Mm.
is actually a Christian publication. Totally
Whoops.
different.
Whoops.
But anyways, yes, right here. Dr. Catmilk says he named the character Mark because he thought his favorite actor was Mark, not Matt Damon. See, that's how bad the
Matt
movie is. Couldn't even
Damon.
get Matt Damon. Couldn't even get it right. So but yeah, guys, check out the sponsors, check out the merch over there. A lot of you guys already got it, but this is the last time to get that Christmas shirt. Next year's will be different. So we're kind of making that a thing where if you want something Christmas wise for the show, it's not going to be the same every year. So they're always limited edition. So if you want to do that, just go ahead and do that. But yeah, dude, let's kick off. I saw today, obviously, we all know that the world has been fucking around and now they're finding out. And
Bro.
we're going to talk about some of this stuff. So we're going to start with the Russian tanker that we stopped earlier today, the Marinera, right? As plain as it gets, I guess. But we've got a video of that op. I want to pull up our resident cool guy. The not no longer has his mustache, unfortunately, because he did a
No,
couple of
so
days ago.
all right, so there's a story behind that. So I was trying to edge it up, right? Just a little bit because in the military, I'm sure you remember, Brandon, it's not allowed to extend beyond the corners of your mouth, right? And so then I was hitting it on one side and I was like, "Oh, it was like just a little too short." And then I went to the other side and I was like, "Oh, it's just a little too short." And then by the time I was done, it was and I was like, "No, we can't do that. So we
You
got to take
fucked
it
it
all the
up.
way. We got to take it all the way back down and just try again." So it
Now
is
we're
coming
going.
back. I'm gonna work on it, but
Now we're
you guys
going
will get to
full
see it.
generation kill, dude. Hitler stash is reg,
It's
right?
in regs,
Hitler
baby.
stash is reg, dude. Anyway, like I said, resident cool guy Chris over there. Maybe we could.
I don't know
He's
about
got
that.
some maritime interdiction experience. So let's watch the video. Maybe we'll get a little bit of
Cool.
breakdown over here. You guys can learn a little bit about this, and we'll talk about it.
Yeah, and before we launch into all the videos tonight, I do want to put out a viewer discretion advised. There's going to be a little bit more violence tonight in some of the stuff
Mm,
that we're going to play. And also, if you guys are hanging out over on YouTube, I want to let you know you're going to get even less of the show than normal because we're going to spend a large amount of time talking tonight about what
yeah,
happened in Minnesota. And so YouTube doesn't like to see any of that stuff. So
right.
if you're watching this and you're enjoying it, when we get up to that point, and I'll let you know, you need to come on over to Rumble if you want to continue to hang and see what the rest of the stuff we're going to talk about it is. But yep, hanging, and here's your vid. This one doesn't have any audio to it, guys.
Yeah.
So just let me know that you could hear us over there. But just kind
What
of
kind of
narrate.
helo are they using? You think, Chris?
I mean, that looks, it's pretty grainy here, but I mean, that looks like a Black Hawk to me. And
Mm-hmm.
since they're out over the ocean, I know that there's a certain variant of the Black Hawk that's Black Hawk, guys, Black
The Black
Hawk.
Cock.
That's it's called the Seahawk. So I would imagine it's going to be one of those variants.
That's a
Um,
penis.
yep, you already know it, dude. So there you can see they roped. They're down on the deck and now they're moving up. Now I have to imagine, Brandon, can you see how every single one of them is gripping the shit out of the
Yeah.
handrails? I
Yeah.
would imagine because of the sea state, it's probably pretty slick. And
Yeah.
that's why
Yeah.
they're doing that because normally like you would be
Mm,
two hands on your weapon the entire time that you're ascending the stairs. But
absolutely. I don't.
the
Yeah.
the environment always gets to say. So here comes in chalk
Oh,
number
you can see
2.
that boat doing some good moving too.
Yeah. Well, and then as soon as the chopper goes from water over top of the deck, it's going to blow that seawater everywhere too, which is going to make
Hmm.
everything nice and slick on the deck. So,
Absolutely.
interesting fun fact for anybody that doesn't know: there's actually specific gear that gets issued to guys like the Navy SEALs or any team that's going to be doing work out over the water. They actually get like buoyant plates that'll float. And you also
That's
get
interesting.
like your kit will have certain metals in the zippers or snaps or anything like that that doesn't rust or corrode.
Hmm.
But even so, you have to change out your kit way more often if you're working over the water just because of the salt water. So this is kind
Mhm.
of interesting to me too here. It looks like they're really slow off the ropes typically, and they're doing only one side dismount, which is very interesting to me. So
Mhm.
I'm wondering if this is the leadership element coming in behind.
That kinda makes sense, yeah. Cat
Yeah.
Milk is asking if this was Coasties or Navy. From what I read, it was Coasties.
Yeah, that would make sense. I mean, typically, if you see like your tier one guys, they'll do ropes out both sides, and it'll be two sets of ropes. And
Mhm.
then those dudes are stacked on top of each other. They're almost boots on helmets as they're hitting the deck. It's a lot faster.
Yeah,
But
look at
I
him.
can't really talk shit because I've never actually fast roped. I've trained up for it, but I've never actually done the thing.
Mm,
So
mm. Yeah, this is like we still got a minute left. We could probably kill it if you want.
that's fine.
Yeah. Now, this is the video that Christy Noam obviously dropped earlier today about it. But anyway, the interesting thing about this tanker I found was that it was empty. So there was no oil. And I saw a lot online, like a lot of people were making fun of the military or the Coast Guard, right? For jumping into a empty ship. But I don't know, right? Like why people don't get like the reward here is the ship itself, right?
Mm,
Like they knew this ship didn't have oil on it because
yeah.
you can use all different kinds of technology to look for organic material or nuclear material or whatever. Oil shows
The
up as organic.
easiest, the absolute easiest one is they see how low the boat is sitting in the water.
Exactly. And so they watched it. Here's the thing, right? So they watched this thing leave the Caribbean. They tracked it for a couple of days, and then they stopped it closer to home, right? And I think that they did it this way, honestly, to make a statement about it, knowing that it was empty, knowing that this boat is a part of this ghost fleet we've been talking about for a long time, but
Hmm.
especially over the last few days. But I think that's what a lot of this messaging is lately. Obviously, we can get into, some more of like the actual geopolitics of this, but for example, when they went after Maduro, there was a Chinese delegation
I
present
know.
in the facility, right?
Where
When they
everyone
went it,
go?
what the fuck? Oh my god, what to I don't know what to do, right? But no, you can't tell me that the guys in the situation room aren't sitting there having a full ass conversation, knowing there's four Chinese diplomats there, and that they're going to go blow shit up in front of them, and that knowing those guys are going to go right back to Beijing and tell Xi Jinping what the fuck happened. Right, like this is a message. This is psychological warfare, and they know that this is going to have a ripple effect and make a statement. But no way that to me that wasn't factored into making some Chinese buttholes pucker as a word. But
Oh
if
yeah,
you remove a working asset from the ghost fleet rotation and you disrupt that pipeline, the ship supports, right, whether those tanks are full or not on that particular day, it's still a win because you're going to port that boat and remove it from rotation, right?
exactly. Yeah, exactly. There's no other way to interpret this as it is another statement, right? It's
Yeah,
like and like you said, there are so many ways to tell that a boat is empty and it's not carrying cargo, right? How
yeah.
low does it sit in the water? What type of security posture does the boat have? Is there a lot of people on board, or is it a
Hmm.
skeleton crew because they're not transporting anything? And as you
Right.
could see, they hit the deck and they obviously weren't expecting a lot of
Not contested area.
yeah, exactly. Because look at the way that they're slowly making their way up the stairs, right? Getting
Hmm.
making their way to the bridge. We talked about
Making their way
VBS
downtown.
mocking fast. So, but yeah, like but the whole point obviously is like, no, I said you're not doing this anymore, and I don't
Right.
care if the boat is empty or not. It's mine now. And so
Exactly.
there's one more boat off the water. And for all those people that are like, oh, it was empty, stupid military, it's like you're not a
Hmm.
serious person. You don't even understand. Like, I'm incapable of having this conversation with you
Right.
because, which you
It,
should tell them about the reels that you put up about this dude because those were fantastic
oh,
that you put over
I
on
appreciate
Instagram
that.
this week.
Yeah, I saw that a couple people found us on Instagram for the first time, and then realized because they clicked the link that we have a Rumble page, and they went and followed us from there, and they wrote me and said that. And I
Yeah.
want to say too that there were several people from Venezuela who either commented on the reel or wrote me, and one of the comments left some information about illegal Chinese mining, specifically for diamonds and uranium in Venezuela. And then obviously I pinned her comment and then wrote like, I appreciate you adding this layer of context to what's going on. And we still know quite a few people, like guys that are more in like the SF side of things. Obviously special forces side, and I know some conventional dudes and dudettes, let's put it that way. And the illegal mining stuff isn't something that's really hitting the news at all because it is illegal mining, and it's kind of something that it's like an elephant in the room that both like the Chinese know that the US knows is going on, and then the US knows the Chinese know that they know, right? But they're
Yeah.
not saying anything about it. But this is going on in a lot of other places too. And I mentioned as well in one of these reels that the Caribbean is going to be some place that gets focused on more. But um, dude, there's way more to this illegal mining operation that's going on in Venezuela than and then other places in Central and South America than we really know about. But the point of this, obviously, like to get back to your point, is the alternate oil economy, right? And we had this conversation where there was a lot of people. There's so many OSINT accounts online that put out
Yeah.
information about this. And one of the big talking points for some of these dudes is that, like, oh well, okay, cool. Like if the whole point of this was oil, and it is oil on several different levels, but China only pulls about 4.7 of that crude from Venezuela and uses it, right? So utility. And we'll just explain real fast here. The crude that exists in Venezuela and then like Mexican Maya crude is what's called sour crude. And the Arabian crude that exists, in places like Saudi Arabia and over there in the Middle East is what's called sweet, right? It needs a less intense refining process
Do you think
than
that's
what you find over here.
do you think that's why the Chinese want both of it, dude? Because they like
Sweet
a
and
little
sour,
sweet
dude.
and
Sweet and
sour.
sour crude. Sweet and sour crude, dude. Oh, my- dude, we need a T-shirt that says that, bro. Sweet and sour crude. Get the fuck out of here, man. Look at us, dude. Just a couple of retards humping a doorknob, but every once in a while, man,
Damn
the,
right,
the
though.
door opens. You know what I
Hey,
mean?
hey, hey!
But
When they get on it, it's just best to let
it's
them
on it,
finish.
dude. That's right, dude. But so the United States has the ability to refine that crude, and so the point is that yeah, okay, it's 4.7% of this oil that the Chinese are using, and they're using it for tarmac and things like that out in the Pacific because it is harder to refine, and it's the lowest quality oil that you can get. But that's not the point, right? You don't measure oil in its utility, specifically in its value. Its value is its ability to be pulled illegally, or outside of sanctions, American sanctions, and then pushed around the world and given to other countries, right? Like Iran, Russia, Cuba. And then the other thing with this too is, right, if you're able to control that oil and you're able to pull from it illegally, you now have leverage over the leadership in that country. And this is why we talked a lot about the Monroe Doctrine. And then on top of that, the Roosevelt Corollary. And obviously, like to sum those things up real fast, Monroe Doctrine says the Western Hemisphere belongs to the Americas, right? The European powers at the time, like this is what the consideration was back then, obviously not today. And then the Roosevelt Corollary said, hey, we're not going to wait for European powers to act on our behalf in our hemisphere. We're going to do it ourselves. And again, we don't have European powers that we need help from. So that Roosevelt Corollary just becomes the United States handling business in our own backyard. This oil, right, getting moved around the world goes to places to help uh, essentially build up an entire what's the word I'm looking for here? Alternate economy is the word that keeps coming back to me. But what it is they're using it to evade American sanctions, and they're using this oil to sell to bad faith actors around the world. They're using it as leverage over those bad faith actors around the world. And as I said today too, that Venezuela does force China to seek leverage elsewhere now that we've lost it, right? The United States is taking control of that oil, and the Chinese are going to have to get back into figuring out how to repair that volume. So no matter how small it was at 4.7% with Russian oil, which will in turn more than likely tick off India as well, because now China is going to be buying more oil from Russia than they were before. So that's kind of the point
Well,
I was making with that.
and just bringing it back all down to like like dumb level, right? The kind of the idea is the United States built a lot of the infrastructure down in Venezuela to help pump all that crude up and out, right? And then we put infrastructure in the United States in order to refine that sour crude. Like we actually have
Mhm.
the infrastructure in order to do it. But as we've pulled back from Venezuela, and then China came in to fill that vacuum, that economic vacuum, right? If somebody else has something, right? Or let's say that there's like, like the triangle, right? If point A needs a thing and point B has it, and point C comes over and goes, oh, I realize that point B wants that thing. I'm going to go take that thing, if for no other reason. Maybe I can't use it. Maybe I just throw it on the ground, but at least I know that point A doesn't have it. right? And I do. And if for no other reason, right, that China would want that oil, it doesn't matter if they can use it or not. They know the United States wants it, and they're
Mm,
taking it right out of our backyard. Right.
mhm.
And fully knowing that we have the infrastructure in order to refine it. So that even makes it doubly valuable to them because they know the
Mhm.
United States has the infrastructure to do this. We necessarily don't. So I
Correct.
sure as shit don't want the United States to have that oil. Even if I can't do anything with it, at least I know the US doesn't have it. Right. And that's such a
Correct.
simple thing, but that in and of itself is valuable to them.
Mhm. Well, the other thing that they do with it, they're making money, but it's more complicated than that. When they can make in the video I talked about this, they made about
Hmm.
was it the 300,000 to 500,000 on like peak days of oil that they barrels of oil that they were pulling from Venezuela. And that
Hmm.
comes out to roughly several $billion a day that they're making, okay? Or a year that they're making. That's a lot of money that is now freed up capital elsewhere. And when you free up capital from illegal oil sales, okay, you're able to take a lot of that capital and put it other places. So now whatever they were doing before with that freed up capital is now over, and they have to now reroute, money into whatever they were doing before. They're going to have to abandon it. So that's another angle for this. And then the other thing too, right, the Chinese have to mitigate the fact that they import 70% of their oil, and 60% of that oil runs through the Strait of Malacca. And
Yeah.
if you want to pull up a map of that, you could if you want. I don't know if you have the
I'll
capes
find
right
one real
now,
quick.
but it is an extremely narrow strip. And this is something, obviously, if we were to go to war, like a hot war with them, right, the United States would shut down really fast. And when you are at war, you need oil for sorties, you need oil for vehicles, you need oil to make missiles and all kinds of other things. So, you know, even if they were using only 5% of that oil, it still shuts down an area where they could free up capital and then sell it around the world, you know? And the tensions they already have, like I said, with India, India can, and that's the other thing with India, India can legally buy that Russian oil. They're not wrapped up in a lot of these same sanctions that the Chinese are. And Russia does sell to the Chinese illegally, and Russia does sell to India as well. But now that finite amount of oil, the Chinese are going to have to go to the Russians to make that volume up. And that is going to drive the price of that oil up because of the scarcity of it now with two big buyers. And India has been buying the majority of their oil from Russia since about 2022. So any of these like border friction, tensions and actual skirmishes that the Chinese and the Indians have had, that could get worse over time. There it
Yep.
is. You see how small that is. 60% of China's oil runs between those two islands.
And here you can see where the Southeast Asian
Hmm.
peninsula is, Sri Lanka over here, obviously. So right here,
That's
down through
right.
Singapore.
Right. Yeah, and you can see the Sri Lanka, the southern tip of India
Sure,
there.
we
But
can
that's where
boom, and then
Oh,
up
no,
here's
you're
China.
good. Yeah, but that's
So
that's where it has to run. And the point I was making about Venezuela is it doesn't free up or doesn't remove that vulnerability, but it certainly was a place that they were using to free up capital, and then, like we said, to exact some leverage. So this
yeah,
is a big positive, right? And it has ripples in a lot of other areas as well. The shadow fleet thing, sending a message, getting rid of a lot of these boats, and all of these countries now are going to have to focus more on buying oil legally, which means that the oil they pay for is going to be way more expensive. So again, you're removing capital from some of these countries that really just prop up all these bad faith actors, right? If Venezuela is supporting China, then in effect, waterfall wise, China is supporting Russia, Russia then supporting Syria and Iran. And now you're talking about the Strait of Hormuz, you're talking about the Houthis, all these things, they've just kind of waterfall into one another. And then, dude, Russia having a bad fucking week, first and foremost, right? Iran completely falling apart. This has been a long time coming for several years. There's been protests and riots in Iran for a long time. I remember you guys remember, last year there were, or maybe the year before, there was, a riot where several women were killed for not wearing hijabs and things like that. And, I
yep.
just want to point out, right? Iran is going through what it's going through because it is pretty much the secular country of Iran fighting the Muslim theocracy that's been going on there for quite a long time. And most Iranians see it that way. They see themselves as the Persian culture. They don't see themselves as this evil Muslim theocracy that's been paying for and funding the world's largest state sponsor of terrorism in the world, okay? That they just see themselves as Persians. And it's so funny too. I find this to be really interesting that a lot of the Jewish community, even here in the United States, right? is excited and happy for them to get out from underneath that Muslim theocracy as well, because they have a lot of shared culture. Tehran is a place that used to be a popular vacation area, and then back and forth between like Tel Aviv and Tehran. These are traditional things that go all the way back to the United States fucking around with NGOs, during the Cold War, and winding up with the Brits and the United States and ruining the Republic of Iran and it falling into the control of the Shah. And we can have a whole conversation about that another day. But what happened with the essentially the progressive leftists that were over there at the time, they ended up teaming up with the Muslim Shah, and all those guys got killed. And then the Muslim Shah took over the country, and it's been that way ever since. So, but Russia, has a lot to deal with when it comes to now losing Venezuela and whatever China is going to do in response to that. And then now Iran and a lot of control that they have over that, and really disrupting American operations around the world. So when you get away from this like POV that this is just 5% of China's oil, and it's just American oil companies going in there to rip off the Venezuelan people, which yeah, I get it. Like, Trump made that comment about, the United States is going to run Venezuela, even though now we've kind of walked the thing back, and Marco Rubio has explained a little bit more about how we're going to control those things through embargoes, and working with the new vice president, even though she's been kind of transitory on like sticking with Maduro things and then working with the United States. That these are things that our enemies essentially are put on notice about and are going to have to respond to, and they are in much weaker positions because of this. So
Oh yeah.
this is bigger than oil companies and 5% of Chinese oil. This is quite literally all of the bad faith actors in the world getting their fucking ass handed to them in 3 hours, right?
Yeah, it's insane, and I just wanted to add one more point on top of that too, and it's the idea of American supremacy was also put back on top, because when President Trump has proven time and time again, and this one probably more so this one, when he bombed Iran and took out the refinery points over there, like he has shown that when he says he's going to do a thing, he just does it. Right. If you go look at the Biden administration, go look at the Obama administration, there was a lot of
Right.
finger wagging, and there's a lot of drawing a line in the sand to be like, don't cross that. And then taking 2 steps back and drawing another line. Okay, well, you better not cross that. I mean, that's literally what
Obama's red
allowed.
line with Syria.
It's literally what allowed ISIS in Syria, and then it's also what allowed Russia to be bold enough to move in and take Ukraine and start that
Mm-hmm.
whole conflict too. So, on top of all of this other stuff, President Trump has supremely put himself on top of the dog pile, and everybody around the world has, like, they have to take notice, and they're like, well, shit, that dude is unpredictable as hell, and when he says he's going to do a thing, like, he's not gonna like warn you and warn you and warn you. No, like, fucking green-eyed goons are just going to show up in your house in the middle of the night, and that'll be it. Like,
Right. Well, and the thing with it too is we're not enforcing something that is arbitrary, right?
mhm,
Like, we're just forcing these guys to operate inside the confines of the apparatus that's already in place.
right,
And those sanctions exist because of the chaos that these countries cause around the world by supporting terrorism and working against having a power like the United States control the flow of goods through supply chains and try to keep peace around the world. The United States and Russia obviously been competing for a long time, all the way through the Cold War, now having to deal more with China. But that's what this is. It's not forcing them to do something they don't know about. It's literally trying to force them back into the system that the United
right.
States has created so that there is some sort of order. That's really all it is. And the fact that people don't see it that way, and they just see the United States being some sort of bully, is kind of ridiculous. It's like you don't realize how much you're actually being robbed out from underneath you. Like, all
Right.
of these oil these evil oil companies, and Chris and I agree, because we've talked at length about debt trap diplomacy that's gone on with these oil companies. But like, little do a lot of people realize is these oil companies that are going and doing these things, a lot of the capital they have is tied up in treasuries. It's tied up in your retirement funds and things like this, that literally these countries, by having these illegal oil operations, are stealing from you and stealing from your funds, because those oil companies are supported by treasuries. And who is the biggest investor into those treasuries? It's American retirement funds, right? So like, this isn't just, I get it, man. Like, I understand the argument against American imperialism and all these other things. Like, if you want to go that route and have that conversation, but there is way more to this. And I just like welcome people to broaden your perspective and realize, like, we're not doing something, and creating the rules as we go. We're trying to pull all these people back into the order that, has been created. And I got
Right.
to say, I really like the messaging from Marco Rubio about this and how we're doing it. It hasn't immediately been in the comparisons to Iraq, right? This isn't a full scale ground invasion with the Marine Corps going into Iraq in shock and awe. This was a military operation. We were in and out, and we're not there invading and nation building. And they've made that pretty
Right.
clear that that's not what's going to happen. And I hope that they stick to that, because
Same.
obviously, we know over the last 20 years what that's like. But anyway,
Yep.
yeah,
I got
no, I'm
I got some
happy to
blood, sweat, and
see.
tears in that conflict.
For sure. And I'm happy to see what's going on in Iran, because there's been several straws on the camel's back, a lot, the past several years. And you've seen what happened recently. These riots that happened recently happened because of essentially like a currency and cost of living argument that happened in the Grand Bazaar there in Tehran. And the IRGC, obviously, they're, I guess you could call them the like CIA equivalent in Iran, but they're essentially there to be a secret police, and they treat dissent like that, as a national security threat, right? And it's not a political problem, essentially. So they really just default to what you see all the time, is snatching people up off the street, killing people in the street. And right now, dude, the Iranians are having none of it. They're finally fucking done, honestly, man. Like, and like I said before, for Russia, like, Iran is a sanctions collaborator, and get them out of it. And they, the Iranians help the Russians with drones, specifically in Ukraine. There's the drones that are there. Those are probably the number one hunter killer drones that the Russians use, is one of those Iranian drones. They also help them with missiles. But the Chinese, obviously, the Chinese are in even more awkward situation, because the traders, they've been openly talking with Iran for a long time and leaning on them for their discounted supply, right, and the crude they get from there. But the other options they have are kind of gone now. And if Iran pushes off the Muslim theocracy that they've been living under, and they're successful with it, could you imagine if they like completely aligned with the West, or tried to anyway? Like, that would be, dude, that's like the bingo card that I did not, the thing I did not have on my bingo card was the potential for that. But I know we got some videos. I'm just kind of rambling about it, but
I mean, it's perfectly fine. But yeah, here's Iranian video number one.
pretty symbolic.
Revolution. You made it, bud.
Appreciate it. No, that's big. I was saying, symbolically, like, that's that's the flag coming down, but like, their guys are tearing it up in the street, right? Completely and totally done. I hope it sticks. It seems to be. This next one right here, if you don't want to watch somebody exact violence on somebody else, this is a rioter versus I don't know what they are, some sort of security patrol, or it could be IRGC, not sure, but here we go.
Helps when you press the right button. Whoa!
Just immediate gunfire, dude.
They got hit. They got his number.
Bro, yeah, watch homeboy up front. He's got a gun, dude.
Yeah.
It looks like he gets away though, man. I can't really tell.
I think he just
cut left. Yeah, there's the gunshot. I hope they didn't hit him, dude.
well.
That's kind of nuts. I actually want to pull this question up from Alicia Victoria right here real quick. She says, did these countries forget how Trump ran this country for 4 years? I mean, the answer is quite literally yes. I would actually say that
Obviously.
Trump has been a lot more aggressive in some of these areas this time around than he was even the first time around, to be quite frank. But dude, listen, I think COVID was a massive reset for the world when it comes to like what people got used to, because you remember even the United States went full retard, and with lockdowns and not enforcing things around the world. I mean, the Biden administration was terrible when it came to American power projection. And the phase one trade deal that Trump was trying to do with China kind of disappeared because of COVID. Some of these other things that we were doing. So like, did they forget how Trump ran this country for the last, his first 4 years? Yeah. I mean, I really think they do, man. I think COVID was like a mind wipe for the world, but that's just, my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, well, anyway, one other thing I want to talk about when it comes to Iran and this situation here, but the Strait of Hormuz, I think I've already kind of mentioned this, but the United States has been clear that most of the crude and LNG moving through the Hormuz winds up in Asia. That's what our assessments say. Asia, obviously, mostly meaning China, but the big what if with this is if Iran were to democratize, right, Chris, and genuinely align with the West, and this is not something that's going to happen overnight, over weeks, or
No.
even a couple of months. This would be like years worth of effort. And whatever the United States is doing in Iran when it comes to like covert action, I know the CIA is there, right? Russia, believe, and China are doing other things too, right? So like whatever we're doing and the people of Iran are doing is not happening unimpeded, right? But if let's say in a couple of years Iran was able to get out from under this, democratize, align itself more with the West, because that is traditional, right, for the people of Iran, the ripple effects would be huge. This would be bigger than the Berlin Wall coming down if Iran was able to come back and be that nation there in the middle. All of that state-sponsored terrorism would basically disappear, right? Which is enormous, right? All that
Yeah.
money would just dry up. But sanctions relief for Iran, if they did that, would be huge, because you're bringing Iranian oil back into the normal market. So all of that comes back in there. That volume goes up. It would cut down a lot on the shadow shipping and stuff like that. But you would likely see like a Hormuz risk premium essentially drop. And we talked before about Lloyd's of London and how much that they actually insure when it comes to standard goods that move through the Strait of Hormuz, which, by the way, the United States Navy guarantees. And the majority of those goods don't even come to the United States, they go to China. But it would also make fucking the EU have to start behaving a lot better than they do, because Iran sits on a lot of those routes that Russia's been trying to use, to get around all of it, the United States' pressure. So a pro-West Iran sort of makes that bypass plan that they have harder, but the history of it too, like I already said, the United States and the UK backed a coup and kind of fucked everything over there for a very long time, and we're finally seeing them come out of it. It would erase, it wouldn't erase, but it would definitely be a happier ending for a lot of the blood essentially that is on our hands for what's happened there. So, but anyway.
So something really interesting, and I just wanted to pull this up while you were talking about it, because I think if you see Iran democratize, you're going to see violence in the Middle East take a huge fall off, right? Because it's like you got the Sunni and the
Yep.
Shia, and it's Sunni, if I remember correctly, right, is the group. I always get them mixed up, but there's the one group that's in Iran. Fact check me so I don't mislead people. And then there's one group that's like Saudi Arabia and
Mhm.
largely
Yeah.
the rest of the groups. And one is by far more militant and more radical and everything else. But
Yeah. No,
if
Iran is mostly Shia Muslim.
okay, I did have them exactly backwards, right? And so
Yeah.
then the rest of the Muslim community over there is mostly Sunni,
Mhm.
and so if you see Iran democratize, you're going to see violence in the Middle East fall way off, which that's going to make way for um, Israel to do a lot of things that they've been wanting to do for a very, very long time.
Mhm.
And one of those things is going to be sacrifice on the Temple Mount again. And I think that
Mm.
if you have a predominantly
That's an interesting.
Sunni Muslim contingent now that's not being, you know, I guess stoked right by this like Shia radicalism, which is the bulk of the terrorist activity, like what you just talked about.
Mhm.
Then we might very well see the deceptive time of peace right before God's supposed to come back. And I have this pulled up just because this is what I was looking up as you were saying that, because my mind was going 1,000 miles an hour. But I just basically
So
asked
is mine.
Chat GPT here about what the Bible says about peace in the Middle East prior to God coming back. And it says, yes, the Bible discusses peace in the Middle East as a significant sign preceding Jesus' return. According to biblical prophecy, a temporary and deceptive peace will emerge in the region before the end times. And this peace is described as a 7-year covenant, often referred to as the abomination of desolation period, which begins a peace treaty between Israel and a future leader, commonly identified as the Antichrist. And that's where that whole
Mhm.
thing kicks off. And if you guys want to see like a full and total conversation about that, you can go back in the archive and find one of the episodes that we did with Pastor Eric, where we like deep dive
Eschatology.
into that entire thing, and you can go read through that. But as you were talking about that and you're saying, hey, what would happen if Iran democratizes, I was like, my mind immediately went to the Bible, and I was like, well, the Bible says at some point there's going to be a deceptive
Mhm.
type of peace in the region,
You
and
know, it
everybody's going to think it's great too. That's the other thing
right.
that's going to, the world's going to buy into it and be like, this is the greatest thing ever.
That's a good point. It's when I was talking about, making a joke about the bingo card, right? First off, obviously China didn't want to see President Trump win the election this time around. They would have much rather dealt with Joe Biden or Kamala Harris, especially. But these are the intangible things that they are not accounting for. I don't think anybody really realized, these riots were going to take off the way they did into now what is starting to look like full scale revolution. This has been going on for days, and
Mhm.
the sort of pushback that's coming from the IRGC and the security forces in that country has dwindled more and more, and people are gaining more freedom of maneuver in that country to riot and do the things like we just watched on video. Obviously, some of the security forces and things like that are going to continue to do what they do. And there's going to be other bad faith state actors that are going there and try to help that out.
Of
But these
course.
are things that the Chinese have not anticipated. Nobody could have anticipated. Imagine having, banking on Iranian oil and then banking on Iran continuing to fund the Houthis to fire on ships through the Strait of Hormuz, on top of not even just the money it costs, right? Like we talked about how much Lloyd's of London is insuring when it goes through, like the volume of goods has dwindled over the years because of the attacks from the Houthis. But keeping the American Navy occupied, keeping the American Navy, focused on dealing with retards with RPGs and other things, okay? Like this alignment of events really, if it plays out to its best end, is honestly some of the best things ever for the world, right? And if it whether it is this peace period you're talking about, right,
Right.
or it isn't, at the end of the day, like these are solid wins for good order and discipline around the world. When countries like Russia, who's already been dealing with a war that was supposed to be a two week operation or whatever the fuck it was, special operation, has gone on for years, and they're definitely dealing with the blowback from that, right? And then if you're ticking off India by basically making Russian oil more scarce because the Chinese are going to have to now have to replace the volume of oil they've lost, even if it is only 500,000 barrels a day,
Still.
right? Right. They're going to have to pay more for that shit, and they're not going to be happy about it. So this entire region is really taking, a massive W or L, just depending on what side of the fucking aisle you're looking on, all because a couple of fucking jumpy boys got froggy on some fucking Blackhawks and Apaches and, went over the mountains into Caracas and snatched some fucking dude out of his bed in front of his Chinese homeboys, right? Like that's just what fucking happened. And all of these, so this is like a throwing a big boulder into a lake and watching the ripples, right? There's the big ripples and then there's the smaller ones that get wider and they, as it goes out, right? This is just
Yeah.
the natural, like I said this in the reel. I'm not one of those people at all that says everything that President Trump does is 5D chess, but this
Right.
is 100% a chess move that he did, and it's a huge one. And some of the tells I think you'll see as time goes on about whether this revolution is going to be successful is, do these protests like really go massive, and do they take over Tehran? If these guys can set up some sort of security perimeter inside that area, I don't know who's going to come into. I don't know enough about, I guess, like Iranian or Tehran local politics about who could step into those seats. But are we seeing like real splits inside like Iranian elite? This kind of reminds me of the conversation that Napoleon had about how when you look at revolution, do you ever truly want to see the elite class replaced? Because there's always going to be an elite class, no matter who they are. If the elite
Right.
class is the aristocracy and they get wiped out, well, there's going to be another elite class. Like social classes and the separation of social class is just a natural human phenomenon. So it's going to happen. I don't know what the elite social class in Iran looks like, but is there a leader within that? I don't know. I would need to research into that a little bit more. But it's kind of like, well, what is the cost benefit analysis on the status quo remaining the way it is, or the chaos right now until things get better after a couple of years, right? Is there a credible alternative leadership? Can people unite behind it on the street? And, if those things don't happen, obviously there's going to be, a point where I'm sure the Shah is going to go to Russia. We'll probably see that over the next couple of days if they don't oust this stuff, because he's going to be
Yeah.
paranoid, and we might even see the violence ratchet up and these people get more forceful. But if those things do happen, then you're going to get that total like slow fracture of all of these things, and the infrastructure they had is going to go away. So
Oh yeah.
whatever trend, like the when you talk about security, especially like when we used to talk about like nuclear security, right? Like when is a nuke most vulnerable? It's when it's in transit. And just like anything else is vulnerable in transition. Leadership, especially when there's violence involved and you're talking about social upheaval, right? So this is either going to be a messy transition or some sort of brutal internal power struggle. And I really hope the people of Iran are able to get a handle on this and just evacuate these pieces of shit and wind up democratizing after a couple of years, a couple years probably. They deserve it, man. And the Middle East deserves it. I hope to see something like that happen. It's just best case scenario, bro.
Well, I mean, good news is inevitably at some point,
We'll see
according
how
to
it plays out,
according to
dude.
the Bible, you'll get your wish.
Right, right. I just anyway, it's funny too, because the Chinese, when you look at like their capabilities and you talk about like covert action or even special operations, people like talking about hypersonic missiles. People like talking about radar systems and all this other shit. It's like dope, dog. Like who the fuck was running early warning air alert systems in both Iran and Venezuela when the United States showed up and had aircraft flying around for days or hours and they didn't know, and that shit got jammed and fucked up, right? Like
Right.
on top of that, the Chinese do not have special operations forces that are anywhere near the capability of American special operations forces. And I'm not even talking about just like specific capability, right? We're talking about like generations of training and generations of people that are in that community that used to do it and now are teaching other people. This is stuff that you just cannot, there's no replacement for reality. There's no book, there's no video, there's nothing like that that can replace these things. So at the end of the day, like whatever Chinese covert action or Russian covert action is going to look like in Iran to try and stop something like that from happening, I just don't see it overpowering whatever the fuck the United States and the Iranian people are going to do themselves. I don't know. You tell me, man. Like you have a little bit more experience in that SF realm, way more experience. Obviously, none of my experience is in the SF realm. Yours is for the most part, other than your intel background. But like, I mean, does that sound fucking retarded, or do you think that sounds like something that is in the realm of possibility?
No, I mean, I think that you're absolutely right. Like, I honestly don't have anything to add to it. For as overcomplicated as war gets, and as technologically advanced as war gets, like it still comes down to a guy on the ground. Like
Right.
like that's the
Mm.
capability. And I was trying to find this tweet because I wanted to back you up, and it's not pulling up now, and I just should have
Well,
saved it. I need to get better
can
at
I
that.
throw some fuel on your fire real fast for that?
Yeah,
I
go
think
for
I
it.
think I think when people think about warfare, they tend to think of it as a warrior on warrior thing, when really
Hmm.
warfare is a conflict of system versus system. It's yes, does it come down to the warfighter as an individual? It sure does. But it's who has the better system in place. And that's what this is. That's what conflict is. It is systems versus systems. And
Yes.
obviously the United States system is not without its flaws. Manufacturing is a big issue right now that we're trying to, and I saw today President Trump fucking smacked Raytheon and a couple other big military industrial complex dudes in the dick. And I hope that he sticks to his guns with, pushing back on those guys and trying to, because they're responsible for much of the slowdown on manufacturing and the failure to uphold their end of contracts and pushing things out and making things more expensive. These military industrial complex guys are. But at the end of the day, when you look at warfare as a system versus system, right? Like manufacturing is a massive thing. It's why the United States won World War II. And I hope the United States fixes that immediately. But all these other things in place, like they tend to favor the West completely. So whatever action we're going to take, whatever action they're going to take, these systems, I trust and believe in the American system that's in that area over anything else that those guys have going on, without a doubt. So Jaquim Carrion, Jackie McCarran. Sorry, screwed that up. Uh,
Jake Wellen.
Jake Wellen. If you're gonna drop links in the chat, please ask beforehand. Sometimes people will drop links in the chat that are bad links, trying to fish or whatever like that. So I'm not gonna hit you with a mute or anything for 5 minutes, but just ask permission next time. I see it's a YouTube URL, but that's just sort of a rule we have to try to protect the people that hang out in the show, so we don't get bad links. So, hey, no says, I
Anybody,
think if the Iranian
anybody gets a
people
warning.
know that they have some support from the United States because of what the USA did to Iran's nuclear facilities, then they might be emboldened to stand up to Tehran. You know, what's crazy too, bro, is it really like, and I do not care where right comes from, like the correct thing to do. But when you look at what was going on in Iran when it came to, 12, 15 years ago, when it came to um, uranium enrichment, it was a lot less than it is now. And it was more at I think there's like, what was it like? You only have to enrich uranium, and fact check me on this, Chris, up to like, I think it might be like 20% or
Ooh,
something like that
it's
for
that's
energy
close,
versus, what you need for weapons grade.
right?
I know that the United States, and it would be wise even to, if they were to democratize, for the United States to help Iran have some sort of nuclear power. The United States needs to do that. We're going to have a conversation with Michael Thompson from Oklo about small modular reactors and put that out this month as well, because this month we're focusing on people who are reindustrializing the United States. But I think that that would be a wise thing. Were you able to find what you were looking for?
Yeah, yeah. It was in that vein, and it just so cracked me up because I wanted to nerd out for just a second about how
Please do.
top notch that operation actually was from the
Mm,
standpoint of an operator.
absolute
You,
resolve.
you've got 150 different aircraft from rotary ring. That is so hard to say. Rotary wing, right?
Rotary
Choppers.
wing.
You had the Chinooks that went in, the Black Hawks. Obviously, they had little birds. They had like an entire sortie doing that. And then, of course, there was F-35s, F-22s. They had 16s involved, B-2 bombers, like the whole thing. I can't remember off the top of my head. If you guys want to go out and check out Chris Cappy, we have no relationship with him whatsoever. He just put out a really, really good video on YouTube about it. If you want to see a breakdown of the entire operation, like phase line by phase line of how it went. But by the time these dudes swooped in and hit the ground, the D-boys did, and went in there, like this mofo, they caught him before he was able to make his way from his bed to his like safe room inside of
Right.
the compound. And then it's like it's important for people to also realize that this military compound that they hit, it's like the Venezuelan version of the Pentagon. Like
Right.
this is their Fort Bragg, right? It's like this is like the heart of their military inside of Venezuela. And we flew in, we sat on top of it, we were like, this is mine now.
Right.
Like, I think that's
Oh
just
yeah.
what we did. And like the blue balls on the guy that carried the quickie saw in there must have been so bad when he was like up that
For
thing
real.
all the way
Right.
across the courtyard, up three
Right.
flights of stairs, and they're already walking him
I
back
got
out. He's
this
like,
diamond tipped
son of a
K12 saw. I'm just ready to freaking yoink it,
yeah,
dude. Right?
yeah,
Like, I got
exactly.
the Broco torch ready, bro.
And
Dude, hell
they come
yeah.
walking back
Breach her
down with
up.
him. He must have been
Mhm.
so pissed, right?
Right.
But then they grab him and his wife, they put him on the chopper, and dude, just like straight out to the waiting boat. Like the number of moving pieces and the amount of interoperability, not just between the Air Force and the Army, but between the Air Force, the
Oh, bro.
Army, our intelligence
FBI was
agencies,
there.
FBI, the
DEA.
intelligence assets that were there on the ground. I mean,
Mhm.
think about the communications alone,
Yeah.
right? And then they're waiting because they're building that pattern of life until it's like they can pinpoint him, and then they're on a clock, right? A lot of
Facts.
people don't realize that you get missions like this, and you'll like lead up to the mission. Well, if you guys ever go back and watch like Band of Brothers, right? It gives a really good, like the whole first episode where they're like gathering everybody around. They're like, channels socked in with coast and fog, no jump tonight, right? Like that happens with all of our operations. It's like all the stars
Yeah.
have to align when the dude's in the place where you know where he's at, and the weather has to work with you, and like all this stuff like aligns, and you're like, go time, right? Like all the criteria gets met, and then it's like go. And so for all of that stuff to come together and this operation gets pulled off so flawlessly that I think one chopper took some rounds, and I think they said maybe two individuals may have taken some frag and had wounds, right? But zero American loss of life whatsoever. And then this piece of human excellence gets on X. The guy's name is George Galloway. I'm going to put him on blast, and he goes, "No U.S. forces, however special, could slay 34 special Cuban forces without sustaining casualties. This is simply an impossibility. Either Trump is lying about U.S. casualties, or the Cubans were slain in other circumstances." If if an entire
Sure,
squadron
Jan.
of of tier one operators sits down in your compound. I actually made a comment on that, and I said 34. Only 34. Those
Right.
are rookie numbers, Delta. We got to pump
Bump them
those
up.
numbers up.
Right.
Like
Well, everybody
34.
else ran the other way. You know what I mean?
That's restraint, my
Yeah.
man. That's like only the people that didn't
That's a great
leave.
point, actually.
That
I
is
need to
that
think
is
about
actually
that.
restraint on the ground, that they only
Mhm.
stacked 34 and left. Like, no, you don't know what you're talking about. That I just had to call that out. And then our good buddy GBNT was taking this dude to task, which is how I saw it. And then this George Galloway guy immediately blocked him. Which, if you guys don't follow Green
Mm,
Beret Nap Time on X, go give him a follow and tell him that I Came with Fire sent you over. But he does some great work over on X.
for
So,
sure.
and he's supposed to be coming on the pod here sometime
He
this
is.
year. So
Yeah.
he was supposed to be on
Either,
last year, and then we had to bump him due to the Christmas special. So it's kind of
yeah,
a bummer.
either
But
one of the maybe this Friday or next Friday. One of them might be a good time to
yeah, I'll hit him
have me
back
on
up.
for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll hit him back up. But that just cracked me up, man. It's like there's
Right.
no way they could do this. There would have been major casualties. It's like, dude.
Right. Right. Absolutely. Well, I am ready to bounce on to the next topic. You want to do a palate cleanser real quick?
Yeah, absolutely. I got palate cleansers for days. So
Hell yeah.
in you know what? I'm just gonna bring this one right up top in honor of, let's see what's going on in Minnesota today. Brandon, please,
Mm,
I got this one for you. Enjoy this.
let's do it.
This my shit.
Oh
All the
shit,
girls stop to be like this. Few times I've been around that track, so it's not just gonna happen like.
bro. Taking a Cheeto round to the fucking shoulder, dude. Wherever the first off, bro, why you're grabbing the
You see that?
sling of anybody's weapon, dude, is beyond me. Like, you're lucky that that was just less than lethal. That would have been your face with whatever shotgun, something like
Yeah.
that. That's ballsy, man. Like this is like do like people too comfortable around like law enforcement just in general, you know? Like
Yes.
you if you have never done it, you do not understand like legitimately how something can go from 0 to 100 immediately. Everything could seem totally fine and then somebody's trying to kill you. I know, trust me, right? Like when you are out
Yeah.
there doing that all the time, every single day, you do something like this and you're immediately expected to go right back to normal state, right around until you're dispatched again. Like you are operating in a lot of capacities, but in a capacity that I may have to defend my life here at any point. So grabbing the sling of my weapon, if that was a real gun, like and somebody puts hands on your weapon, you are allowed to treat that with lethal force and kill somebody if they put their hands on your weapon. Like so just, you know, I don't know, man. That seemed pretty mindless, right? I don't know if he was trying to take the weapon, but I mean, geez Louise, dude. Like taking a Cheeto round to the face is nuts.
Yeah, this is not the Cheeto dust you want. Let's enjoy that again. I want to enjoy it again. Can we enjoy it again?
Utopian says, curse you fucking Nazi pirates. Not even close, buddy. Not even close.
Me?
Did not see that coming.
All right. I want to enjoy this again, though, just for funsies.
This my shit. All the girls stop to be like this. Few times I've been around that track, so it's not just gonna.
It's just fun.
You got to say, though, he did handle that really fucking well.
I was
he
just
took
gonna
it,
say.
took it like a champ.
Oh,
dude.
him. Well, I was going to say the guy that fired the round like had a hell of a lot of weapons discipline because he did
Mm,
everything exactly right. That he like boom, step back, got a standoff, like
yeah.
whop, poof, like because he could have if he would have discharged that at any other point before having complete weapons discipline and that round
Mhm.
ricocheted or did anything else, could have ended up being really dangerous. But
You're right. Well,
yeah, so
yeah. No, we'll talk more about what's up, Lindy Rig. We'll talk more about Minneapolis and all that a little bit later today. But we should talk about what do we got coming up next, Chris?
we got Tim Walz.
Timmy Walz. Let's do
The
it.
first, well, so technically we're going to Minnesota, but not to talk about what's happening there today. So, yeah, this is proof that you can cyberbully retards into quitting, and
I
also
mean, he's a known quitter anyway, right?
exactly not necessarily a spitter, but he's a quitter.
Oh, global war on terror. I'm out. I'm out, dude. Nope, not me.
Little John in the barn though.
Couldn't be
I'm
me
in, dude.
deploying. Right. Sergeant's major. I'm good, fam.
Yeah, no.
You know? Oh
You see
man.
this star?
Right? You see exactly, dude. Let's see what old Timmy's talking about today. Old
So
Timmy Blue Eyes, you know?
I mean, this is just so perfect though, because if you follow it all the way back, right, to like Nick Shirley, this still does show you like what one person with a camera that's not afraid to go and just do the thing can
Well,
accomplish.
dude, the mainstream media has been tracking Minnesota fraud since Nick Shirley was in elementary school. Like
I know.
you mean to tell me that they needed him to graduate elementary, middle, and high school and become an adult to scoop this fucking story? Like that's nuts. Anyway, all right, Timmy Balls. You got a question from Dr. Catmilk. He says, Chris, what channels would be effective for tracking down a relative's McAfee SOG documents? The VA, maybe?
Well, so for tracking down a relevant, so FOIA, you can always submit a FOIA request. If you're going to do that, it's helpful to have obviously first name, last name, branch of service, and then service number. If you have those things and you submit a request, then it can be it's really only the amount of time that it takes them to look those records up and get them back to you, minus obviously anything that's still classified would be redacted before they return them to you. But that would be the quickest way to do it. Otherwise, you could reach out to the Army or Marine Corps, because I know both of those units had guys in there. You could reach out to their PR departments, and you can make those formal requests through there, which they may help you if you're missing any of that information. Like look it down. At least you have first name, last name, like estimated time of service and branch. They would probably be able to narrow it down and help you with stuff like that. But those would be two resources that I would try first.
I was gonna say too, if you're near an installation, whether no matter like what branch of service it was, I almost wonder if the PA public affairs on base or post or whatever would be able to direct you to those resources too. If you give them a call, because we like the first off, civilians call with a lot of weird shit anyway, but public affairs deals with specifically civilian questions and stuff like that. That actually might be a fair option for
I
you
said
if you live
PR.
near.
I meant
Oh,
public
did you?
affairs.
Oh, okay.
I said PR. Thank you for
My bad.
public
No,
affairs.
you're good. I actually
That's what I
didn't
meant.
recognize it too. Yeah, got you. Word.
That's what I meant.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
Here, Cat Milk says understood. Thank you. Cool. Good luck, man. For real.
Yeah. I hope you find it. And Lindy, if I was back nearer my home, I would. But that would be like a 3-day drive for
Are
me.
you
right now,
doing
dog.
some on the ground shit there, Lindy, in Minneapolis, St. Paul? Let us know, dude.
If you are, dude,
If you got some footage of shit going on, man, maybe you can hop on and we'll put it up.
100%. All right. So anyway, Timmy Balls. Check this out. So this is right after he said he's dropping out.
I'm proud of the way we treat our neighbors. I'm proud of the way that we welcome people to this state. I'm proud of the way that we innovate. And I'm proud of the way that we are optimists for the future. No one's taking this away from us. Not the fraudsters. Certainly not this president. Not on my watch. Tomorrow, I'll be back with you. I'll give you an update on America's best paid family medical leave program that is now a week into it. And at that time, I'll take all your questions. Thank you all.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Ain't that like a fucking piece of shit senior NCO to walk off when everybody's got questions?
You said you were going to take questions. Why didn't you?
Bro,
Well, does
you
anybody
ran out
really
of there.
expect them to have accountability? Like, come on.
You ran out of there almost as fast as a woman running from accountability. You know what I'm saying?
Ayo.
Shots fired.
Wait. Are these deployment orders? Actually, it's
Not
been
on my
20 years.
watch. Yeah.
It's been 20 years. I can retire. Just drop a packet. And then I'll lie about the promotion that I was slated to get, but the second it meant real war, I didn't want it anymore. So
He didn't want any.
I'll use it for
part of
clout
that.
later. You know what I'm
He
saying?
didn't want any part of that.
I
You know
really,
where he
go
does
ahead.
like to go though. Apparently,
The horse barn.
with when he's not in there, China. You know how many trips to China that guy has?
Oh yeah,
under his belt.
quite a few.
Yeah,
Quite a few. Where does he go when he goes?
probably
Is
to
it
the horse
Beijing?
barn in China.
They do have a lot of horses in China. I
This is
saw that
true.
on Mulan, actually. You know? Just saying, Well, I mean, let's be real. Like that region is known for its horses, right? Mongolia and all that. So
There you go.
No, it's interesting to think about. His days are not over being on the news in any way, shape, or form.
No.
As long as he's around, and the fact that he's not running for governor anymore. He bowed out of that because of the fraud
Right.
stuff going on. Um, there's going to be some mail delivered to him, whether in person or otherwise, to let him know that he's going to have to answer with some legal proceedings.
Oh, for sure.
And I'm really interested. I know that they took away Ilhan Omar's permissions for several committees, right?
Yeah, I saw that.
I really want to see her lose her citizenship, but the entirety of that state specifically um, is is sort of to me a tipping point for other states.
Oh, yeah.
And right now you're seeing a lot in Donna's home state of Maine, right? You're seeing Ohio. Obviously, there is California too. And I want to point out that a lot of these states are swing states, okay, first and foremost, and then the populations that are committing this fraud, not just in Minnesota, but in Ohio too, and in California and some of these other places that you're seeing it. Okay. I think, what was the other one? I think either Philadelphia or Pittsburgh. Somebody was reporting about several of them outside that too. But did you know that the
There was
entirety of,
Ohio. Seen a lot of
well, I
I've
know
seen reports coming out of
Ohio too,
Ohio.
but there's other state. Pennsylvania has one of the cities
Mm.
in Pennsylvania as well as seeing that too. I'm just trying to like name off some of these states that are also seeing specifically Somalian daycare issues. Dude, this is the easiest thing to do, is to trump up RICO charges for these fucking people, because there
Yeah.
is clearly criminal conspiracy going on here. And we talked about this, I think the show before the Christmas show, but the sophistication of this conspiracy is too high for
It's
me to
such a good
believe
point.
that it is not artificial. It is completely and totally
Right.
manufactured. This is somebody who understands the law. This is somebody that understands how to apply the law in a loophole way, right? And
Right.
how to get around and garner federal funding. You lie in Minnesota about how autistic your kid is, you get more money. You set up a fucking daycare and you never take care of a single kid, you get all this money. Like, and then on top of that, did you know that Somalian immigrants to the United States, 70% of that population is on welfare,
Yes.
right? So
I reported on that on this show.
their entire life is subsidized by the US government.
Yeah.
70% of those people is subsidized by the US government and you, the American taxpayer. I'm really interested to see what happens in California. That is going to be a really hard wall to get over and get
Oh,
through,
yeah.
because California is so fucking insulated, dude. Like, I am convinced, and I'm going to be careful like how I say this because of like my job, but California is 100% a money laundering machine for the DNC. No fucking question about it. They
Yes.
get so much money and nothing fucking happens. It has to be criminal. Anyway.
Well, I just want to make one more point on the Somali fraud front, and that is like you take a group of people where the average IQ is 68 and more than 50% of their population is inbred to some point. And I'm not trying to be mean when I say that. I'm just saying what is. And then you transplant them to the United States. To your point, you can't get me to believe that they figured this out on their own.
No.
It was
No.
designed, and then they needed a group of people in order to carry it out.
Yeah.
That's
if you
what
think all
happened.
that money was just going to that community, you're high. Like
No.
it was also getting kickbacks to these politicians and
Yes.
things like that. Like
Like-
I can't remember, his name just flew out of my head, but the freaking mayor of Minneapolis, dude, that dude has got some shit coming too, bro. Yeah, Jacob Fry. Thank you. I think you might be muted, buddy.
Am I?
Oh, well, when you said Jacob Fry, no audio came through, so no worries. But anyway,
Weird.
speaking
Anyway.
of autism, well, just saying, the vaccine schedule got amended. Let's talk about it.
Yeah. So, as a dad of 4 young boys and a daughter on the way, I'm pretty excited about this. So the CDC cuts childhood vaccine schedules down to 11 core diseases on January 5, 2026. I'm not to insult your guys' intelligence, but just for anybody that comes back and listens to this only, the CDC reduced universal recommendations from 17 down to 11 key vaccines for healthy kids, including measles, polio, and whooping cough, or pertussis for those of you more medically inclined, following a presidential directive and HHS review by Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Vaccines like flu, rotavirus, COVID-19 shift to shared decisions with doctors or high-risk groups, while all remain fully insurance covered with no out-of-pocket costs. Officials call it evidence-based and trust-building amid falling public confidence. But critics like Senators Warren and Kelly warn of, first of all, Senator Kelly, I think you might want to start getting your JAG defense ready. You got more important things to worry about right now. Warn of risks during a severe flu season with 9 pediatric deaths so far. So some of the pushback that I've seen on this is people going on X and they'll choose like specific diseases. I saw a post earlier today that was like, do you know what one of the diseases removed from the schedule was? Meningitis. Do you know how fast an infant will die from meningitis? It's hours. And to that person, I wanted to be like, yeah, do you know where meningitis or meningococcal meningitis is endemic to? Sub-Saharan Africa. We don't even inoculate service members for meningitis unless they are deploying to an area where it is common. So we get it in PACOM because we go to Asia, but not even the entire U.S. military will get it just for entering the military.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like
That's
one
true.
of those. It's one of those things where you're going to see people that are shills for big pharma come out against this, right? Because it's like no longer are you forced
course
to
Elizabeth Warren is,
sell. Yeah, you're forced to sell my vaccine to people, and that's what they're fighting for. And I think that this is a great move. I really do. Right?
Mhm.
Measles, MMR, measles, mumps, rubella, polio. Right? President Roosevelt famously had polio, which caught up with him later in his life, which is why he was wheelchair bound. Whooping cough, pertussis, like these are common childhood ailments. Sure, it makes sense to get your babies inoculated for them. These are also some of the longest standing vaccines that we've ever had, and they have the longest amount of studies on them, the highest amount of efficacy, right, that go into them. I get questions about this all the time from teammates and fellow service members, being my medical background. But it's like a lot of times people will come up to me and ask me about this stuff for their kid, and they'll be like, oh, they want to inoculate my kid for hepatitis C. And I'm like, well, do you plan for your baby to have a lot of homosexual contact with people? You know what I mean? And well, no. And I'm like, if you don't want to, you can tell the doctor no. You know what I mean? But a lot of times these doctors, they just sling this stuff, and it's like, so, and I get it, man. Parents, especially during COVID, a lot of people got scared into one camp where it's like, oh, trust the science no matter what. And then a lot of people got scared off of it, off the reservation, where it's like, don't even get that needle anywhere near my kid. And it's like both of those sides are going to have casualties because of it. We completely lost the middle of the goalposts, which is, is it a good thing to keep kids from getting sick? Yes. Do we have a technology with which we can use in order to inoculate that kid from having this terrible disease? Yes. Okay. Let's us take it through the entire scientific process to completely study it, make sure it's safe, make sure it has no adverse side effects. And then if it passes these rigorous scientific studies, then it's like, we now deem it to be safe, and curing kids of disease is a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
But that got completely thrown out the window in 2020.
Yes.
And I understand people's reservations on both sides now.
Yeah.
So,
well, look at the origin of the Hep B virus, or the Hep B vaccine, right? It was rolled out in the 80s for specific high risk groups. Gay men were on the list of that high risk group. That vaccine did not take off in those high risk communities, and then in, I think, like either early 90s, either 90 or 91, it got put on the childhood vaccine schedule. Right. And you know who lobbied to have it put on the childhood vaccine schedule? The company who made that vaccine. Right.
What?
It's almost like they tried to recoup for losses for doing that. Right. Like, I'm sorry, I'm just not going to have my kid in these environments where this is necessary. So it's just like, this is anything. It's not just big pharma. It's agriculture. It's the military industrial complex. It's lobbyists, dude, pushing money at politicians who are going to fucking take it. And now we all have to fucking do what they say. That's the,
I'm glad that you brought that up. I had to fact check myself. Hep C is typically blood to blood contact. You're right. Hep B is the sexually transmitted disease. So
yeah, no,
thank you.
There's
on
a
that
couple
one.
Heps.
No, it's Hep A, B, and C, but it's important to be factually correct
Yeah,
when we
no,
talk
you're
about this
good,
stuff.
dude.
But
You're good.
no, it's super funny. You go back and you look at Anthony Fauci, glorious and exalted as he was trying to do the same thing back in the 80s, and a lot of people that went through the scamdemic in 2020 just aren't old enough to remember it. But he was trying to get an AIDS vaccine pushed through back during the mid to late 80s, and that's where that whole push of people thinking that you could like catch AIDS in a hot tub if you were sitting with somebody that had it, even though
Right.
the AIDS virus, HIV, is actually one of the most fragile viruses in the world,
Mhm.
which is why it literally has to be sexually transmitted or blood to blood transmitted, because it doesn't survive in the environment very easily. Like it dies very quickly. But he had in the hopper an AIDS vaccine that he was trying to peddle. And so he tried to do that in the 80s. It didn't work. He like went to ground for like 30 years, came back up, and then COVID-19 was his time to shine, dude. And
Bro.
he did the whole play all over again, and that time it worked.
Yeah.
But
No,
go
man.
look that up.
Those pardons that Biden signed, quote unquote, with the auto pin, right? Like, I hope they do something with Fauci.
Dude, that
man. Like,
that auto pin was in his office like, I'm tired, boss.
I'm tired,
Just-
boss. That's too dang bad. Pretty
Just
much,
in there,
man.
in there just signing papers all day. The auto pin was like,
Oh. Exactly, dude. Exactly. Let's
oh
bounce,
man.
bro.
Let's bounce. What do we got coming up next? Let's see. I think we're heading to.
You want a palate cleanse real quick? May as
Oh
well.
yeah, of course. We might as well. So what do we got in here? I don't even know what this is. Let's check it out. Boom.
You don't respect trans women because you're transphobic. I don't respect them because they're women. Trans inclusive radical misogyny. There's a better way to hate.
Trans inclusive radical misogyny. There's a better way to hate. You don't like them because they're trans. I don't like them because they're women. Dude, that's hilarious, dude.
Get back on my level, dude.
Right. Dude, all right, I got a joke for you. Why was Helen Keller such a bad driver?
Just hit me with it, dude.
Well, you're supposed to say because she was deaf and blind, and then I'm supposed to say because she was a woman.
Oh.
That's why.
Well, I was just teeing you up.
No, I'm just saying that's the joke.
I think
No
my
expectation for real.
I think my favorite is why did Helen Keller only hang on to the roller coaster with one hand?
Because she was screaming with the other. Yeah. Classic, dude.
Poor Helen Keller. Just
Poor
I
Helen
don't know
Keller.
I don't know why that woman caught so much shade, dude. It's not even
Yeah.
fair.
Roger says, what was the disease in 2014 that Fauci tried to get pandemics started? Not sure.
I don't know. I have to go back to 2014. I
I would too.
was in high school. That's when I discovered girls.
You were in high school in 2014?
2014. Yeah, I graduated in 18.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Chris is young.
No, I was in high school in 2004. I graduated in 2008. What
Bro,
the
you
hell?
were I was like, what?
Hold
I'm
on.
like, what the fuck? Have you been lying to me our entire friendship, you fucking
I wish-
weirdo?
I wish
Yeah.
I was that. I wish I was that young.
I was like, dude, there's no way.
Yeah, no. 2014 though. I'd have to go back and
AG Actual says the H1N1 virus.
probably.
Time frame sounds right. I'm not 100% true.
Yeah, because there was swine flu.
Time to kick somebody out.
There was swine flu. Common Core math exactly. Never do math in public. I remember H1N1 being a big thing when I was in college. So that would have been like 2009,
SARS.
2010. Then there was
Ebola.
yeah, and then the bird flu was a
dude,
big thing
Ebola.
for a while. They tried to get
Dude,
people all
Ebola's
scared
a
about
scary
Ebola.
one.
It is
Yeah.
though. Yeah.
Well, getting it, but it's also isn't
Oh,
it one
Zika
of those
virus. I had forgotten about that one.
Yeah, that's true.
Mosquitoes were
Ebola is
carrying
one
it.
of those that's transmission is harder too because it kills the host so fast.
Right.
It's not like a COVID that, it spreads easy because its incubator is literally walking around. Like once you have fucking Ebola and it's taking its effect on you and you're bleeding out of your orifices because it's hemorrhagic fever, like
Right.
you're not going anywhere.
Well, that's one of the reasons that like virologists understand that in order for a virus to survive over a longer period of time, it has to become less deadly over time and it has to become more transmissible. Because the idea is exactly what you said. You want the host to stay alive long enough so that you can get passed to another host, right? So
yeah, absolutely. Let's bounce, bro.
Let's bounce. All right, so now we are heading to, let's see, this one wouldn't load correctly, so let me remember where I've got you. All right.
Take your word for bird flu and fried cheese, bro. Hey man, cheese curds are good as fuck. I'm not even gonna lie. Chris knows he's from Wisconsin.
Very good. Let's see, what do we got here?
Chris
There
has
it is.
chocolate cheese.
You don't even know. You don't even know. All right. So ground news, guys, we love ground news over here. It's an awesome news aggregator. What it'll do for you is it'll go out, it'll find stories from all the different sources. It aggregates them down into one place, and it can help you see things that you're missing, like what the political affiliation of the authors is. Say, like you only like to watch One American News or Newsmax, you're probably going to miss other sources on the left, and this can help you fill in those blind spots so you can see stories from all sides. But here in this one, in post Maduro Venezuela, U.S. eyes security chief as potential target, sources say. On January 6th, the Trump administration put Venezuela's interior minister Diosdado Cabello on notice as a potential top target unless he helps interim President Delcy Rodriguez keep order after Maduro's removal. Following a classified CIA assessment, the administration embraces Maduro's aides to run Venezuela temporarily, aiming to restart access for U.S. oil companies and avoid deploying ground forces while demanding a crackdown on narcotics and expulsion of Cuban security personnel. Law enforcement financial tools being considered include indictments and bounties. Defense Minister Vladimir Padrino, Vladimir, really, guy, is under indictment with a multi-million-dollar bounty and seizing assets sheltered in Qatar. Targeting Cabello risks pro-government motorcycle groups. They got motorcycle gangs, colectivos, taking to the streets. Yeah, I've seen the videos of them. And their reaction may depend on protection from other Venezuelan officials, while U.S. officials and the Justice Department seek progress within weeks. Critics argue the intervention amounts to neocolonialism and a violation of international law, while the United Nations found SEBIN, SEBIN, and DGCIM committed crimes against humanity under, and it gets cut off.
Yeah. Well, I bring that up. We talked about the VP and taking over. Basically, put out a statement saying that anybody that was politically supportive of what happened with Maduro being replaced, that they could get arrested. And obviously, saying something using the language that you are politically supporting something is not an actual precedent. That is an extremely ambiguous statement, and it really just leaves room for all interpretation ever, right? And whatever you want it to be and mean. And so the security chief, right, is one of these people that would be exacting those things. And this is just, to me, right, the United States continuing its efforts in getting rid of these people who are anti-American, but are, more importantly, going to be going after the Venezuelan people as they try and retake their country from this fucking regime that's been oppressing them for a long time. And you see too, right, like the general that's in charge of the majority of the intel that goes on there when it comes to the civilian population, he got fired today by the president of Venezuela, which is exactly what the United States wanted and probably pressured her to do behind closed doors, right? There was no official statement there, but it happened. I think you're going to see more and more a lot of these key players that aren't the head of the snake, as it were, even though that head of the snake now really is, going to gradually more and more become a puppet of the United States until hopefully problems are fixed. But, the security chief, some of these generals in Maduro, what really was Maduro's army, and this guy's old enough to where he remembers fucking Hugo Chavez. Getting rid of these fucking key players is exactly how you need to do this. These are people that, Nazis didn't become not Nazis overnight. Shitheads that were, socialist Marxist fucking cartel pieces of shit didn't become those things overnight. Stop being those things overnight just because Nicolas Maduro is in custody in New York City. So all of these shitheads around this woman that are going to make her job of working with the United States, if you want to call it that, harder, they're going to go after and get rid of them more and more. And I think you'll see more stuff like this should that cooperation start to dwindle. And I think Chris would probably agree when it comes to interdiction and stuff like that. And try to.
I agree 100% with everything you just said. And I also like the way that we're going about doing it. This isn't like what we tried to do in Baghdad back in 2003, where we're going to obviously come in and we're going to run the governance of the place. It's like, no. Right? Like, we're leaving. We took the bad guy, we're going, and then like we're watching from the naval blockade out to sea, and it's like you better play ball or we'll come in and grab you too,
Hmm.
right?
Well, the other
And
thing too,
I do
right?
agree
Like,
with this approach.
no, I think that it is a wise approach so far.
Yeah.
There is a cultural issue that was going on as well the entire time that the global war on terror was trying to force democracy on people. These are tribal people, and Afghanistan, Iraq is, I guess you could say, doing better today than it was at the time, right? These tribal people, you can't just walk in and force democracy on them. You know, the Venezuelan people are an entirely different people. They are a Catholic
Yes.
nation as well, right?
Yeah.
So you are talking about a country that does have more Western values than a tribal group of people, you know, in Afghanistan that have always been tribal forever, right? You know, so this is, I guess if you're going to talk about doing something like this and, you know, using a rubber stamp to put democracy in a country, you know, I guess the probability of it working in Venezuela is higher than it is in a place like Afghanistan. But I think, like we said, getting rid of all of these bad faith actors around this person is one of those ways to sort of let that happen naturally and use all this leverage over the massive amounts of oil that Venezuela has to say, you know, okay,
Exactly.
well, fine. Like, this is our fucking shit. You can't sell it at all if you're not playing ball. Like this is an
Right.
entire economy for you that's about to be gone. Not to mention all the control. Like any when those oil companies show up in Venezuela, it's not just going to be oil companies, bro. Like it's been the CIA, it's been any other fucking NGO or group that's been going there since the fucking 60s. And this is just the way it's going to fucking be. And now that, you know, the United States says, well, we're going to use embargoes and we're going to fucking take all this oil, like that's it, man. It's either I got you by the balls and you either play ball or I'm going to twist them off. And that's just the end of the story.
Well, I mean, pretty much. And Venezuela based its entire economy off of one export. So it's an easy problem to solve when you do that. I
Right.
mean, there's no
Single point
diversification.
of failure, basically.
Exactly. So, dude, just off the bat, I just looked down and saw this, and you might be really interested in this. So, Ozent Defender, also a great page if you guys don't follow it on X. A lot of good news coming through there all the time. U.S. President Donald J. Trump announced Wednesday, so this is tonight, that the United States would be withdrawing from 66 treaties and international organizations, which he claims no longer serve American interests. And these include, and then it names all 66, and I'm not going to bog you guys down with all of that, but there's a few
You could put it in the Discord later, though.
I will put it in the Discord later, but there's a few down here at the bottom that's really going to blow your dress up. The UN Alliance of Civilizations, UN Conference on Trade and Development, UN Democracy Fund, UN Energy, UN Entity for Gender Equality and the Empowerment of Women, UN Framework Convention on Climate Change, UN Human Settlements Program, UN Institute for Training and Research, UN Oceans, UN Population Fund, UN Register of Convention of Arms, UN System Chief Executives Board for Coordination, UN System Staff College, UN Water, UN University. Why couldn't you just say UN? Why couldn't we just lump all that at one time?
Right? The UN Derek Zoolander School for Kids Who Can't Read Good.
Read good.
Right? Like that's no, dude. Okay. First off, thank God it's the UN, because how much corruption is in the UN, and not even corruption. Like this is something that these people are never going to talk about. Food for sex scandals with the United Nations, right? All these fucking pedophiles that get no supervision, they join the UN and wind up in an African village or somewhere else around the world, and they're given mass amounts of resources, and they get to control access to those resources because they're wearing a blue helmet and they're in a UN tent. And there's all these fucking criminal cases that have been arbitrated against the UN for pedophiles being in those countries and forcing parents to hand over kids to have sex with these kids in exchange for food. And if you want to learn a lot about that, you can go watch the episode we did with Dr. Andrew McLeod. Great fucking episode. Dude, nobody talks about this shit. They want to talk about, you know, pedophiles and all this other crap. Like the UN is it, dude. Like that place, the UN is purely evil. Just go look up food for sex scandals in the UN. And there was a movie with Rachel Weisz that came out in 2014 called The Whistleblower. Didn't do well. because I think the topic, right? And honestly, if it had anything to do with Hollywood, they did a lot to make sure it didn't get the success it probably deserved. But this is
Right.
a real case that Dr. McLeod was a part of as a whistleblower when he worked for the UN and quit because he figured out all of the fucking food for sex scandals going on inside the UN. And when that punishment started coming out for the people who were whistleblowing, he left and became a person that spoke out against it in person on his own without being up underneath a UN umbrella. But all of this is, it's not even about, like, obviously there's all this food for sex and pedophile shit, but what the fuck are all of these things anyway, other
Yeah.
than literally the Derek Zoolander school for the kids who can't read good? Like, that's it, man. This is what puts gay Sesame Street on the TV in Iraq. Like, that's what this
Well,
is.
you heard the one that there yeah. This is going to have some, oh my word. This is going to have some serious second and third order effects.
What was the other one you said?
Well, you were saying that reducing emissions. Now I'm looking down through because you were talking about, yeah, UN entity for gender equality and the empowerment of women.
Mm-hmm.
Humanity settlement program.
Meanwhile,
Jeez.
forcing women to have sex with people so they can get food, even though they're starving. Literally,
Dude,
true
that is,
stories.
he is,
Good, bro.
this is sledgehammer Trump.
Yeah,
This is what I
this is my
wanted.
favorite. This is my favorite Trump. If I'm going to Target and I'm in the action figure aisle, this is the one I'm looking for. Just saying.
Exactly. Wow. Well, and I heard an argument the other day, and I
Monroe
was like,
Doctrine.
that is yes, that is exactly the way to describe the UN, and it's basically just an entity that provides legitimacy to illegitimate governments.
Mm-hmm. That's it. Yeah,
That's what it's been doing for a long time, and it doesn't serve U.S. interests,
not
right,
at all.
by and
Well,
large.
no.
And I would hope, one would think that this would go without saying, but hopefully, when he says we're withdrawing from them, that means like all funding. Like,
I
well,
hope that's what that means, and
I
not
hope
just agreeing with him.
that better be what that means.
Yeah, has to be. How can we be not a part of it but still giving money to? I mean,
I mean,
dumber
we're still
things have
funding
happened.
the
You know what I'm saying?
Taliban, so
Yeah. No. Yeah. I was to say dumber things have happened, but I hope that is what it is.
better be what it is. I thought
Truly,
you'd
yeah.
like that though, because that
No,
just
I do.
came across my
I do
desk.
like that. That's
Anyway, you ready to jump over to California?
let's do it, man.
All right. So you thought that, and I was saying this, by the way, on X, I think back over last weekend. If you think what was going on in Minnesota is bad, like, I want to see what's going on in New York. I want to see what's going on in Illinois. I want to see what's going on in Washington. I want to see what's going on in California. I want to see what's going on in Oregon, right? Like, you think Minnesota's bad, and you alluded to it earlier, like California, I guarantee you, is 10 times worse. If it's
yeah.
18 billion in Minnesota, you'll probably tack on another couple of zeros in California. I guarantee it. And that's like, I'm being conservative when I say that. But let's check in with California and see what's up. So, insane new reports allege as much as 76.5 billion or more in fraudulent spending in California.
State, saying under Governor Gavin Newsom's leadership, it has become the, quote, fraud capital of America.
And we have team coverage. Our national correspondent, Alana Austin, is on Capitol Hill with more on the investigations into Tim Walz. But we start with correspondent Heather Myers, who has more on what is going on in California. A rainy day out there on the West Coast. Heather, what can you tell us?
Well, good afternoon to you, Katrina and Andrew. This latest report was issued by the state auditor, and that's a nonpartisan position. That state auditor now puts 8 state agencies on a high-risk list of agencies to watch out for things like fraud and mismanagement, as well as waste. Here's a look at that 92-page report. Newly added to the high-risk list is California's food stamp program. If the state doesn't get the improper payments under control, it could cost an extra $2.5 billion. Also on there is the Department of Finance, which was tasked with giving out COVID relief funds. Critics say $32 billion of that was taken by fraudsters. Then there are infrastructure issues like California's deteriorating dams and also the high-speed train that's already cost taxpayers $18 billion without a single section of track complete.
Yeah, 18 billion. They don't even have any tracks down yet.
$4 billion spent on the homeless issue that critics claim the state lost track of. More recently, there's a report that says California cell phone users paid a surcharge for years to upgrade the state's 911 system. Here's Congressman Kevin Kiley talking about what happened to that plan.
that after spending $650 million on that system, the state is totally scrapping it and starting over, completely wasted the money because the technology doesn't work. Mind you, we are very close to Silicon Valley in Sacramento, and yet the government can't figure out how to make basic technology perform.
Technology's hard, bro.
Yeah. Well, the fraud in California, it's like I repeat myself. We talked about a lot of fraud in California before. Most of it has to do with homelessness that we've talked about in California. That is a massive racket. Anybody that's interested in learning about fraud from that perspective, I highly recommend you read Michael Schellenberger's book, San Francisco. That book will blow your fucking mind. Not only were there open air drug markets in San Francisco that they gaslit you about and lied to you about, but the police were told to stand down and let the drug dealers hang out on the opposite side of the street. So once people went into those markets to get their free drugs or detox, they walked right out and got picked up by drug dealers and given drugs again. So in the homelessness thing too, right? No other state except for New York spends more money on homelessness than California. And all of these people over the past several years have made over $200,000, some of these leaders in these organizations for the state government, and not solved a fucking thing. It's gotten worse over the past 5 years. And they will do something about it if they want to do something about it, because you're talking about somebody who cleaned up San Francisco when Xi Jinping showed up and took all those homeless people and bussed them around. But I'll say the statistic that I have always enjoyed talking about when I talk about San Francisco, and in the year 2020, San Francisco had to replace 5 lampposts because the bases of those lampposts had corroded due to the amount of urea that had been pissed onto the side of the bases of those lampposts and fallen over onto vehicles and the ground, right? So the level of homelessness is so bad that metal is being corroded by urine in that city. Highly recommend. Oh, what's up, dude? Black card denied?
Yeah,
hey,
I was gonna
she's
say.
like, can't wait to join you guys tomorrow. What's up,
Hey,
friend? Hello. Nice to see you. If you guys are on Instagram or YouTube, she's got a new podcast over there on YouTube, but super awesome content over on social media as well. We are talking to her tomorrow night. It's going to be a lot of fun. Long form podcast you guys will get to see put out with her, but I would like to have you on the live show at some point. But yeah, dude, thanks for jumping in and saying hi, guys. Go ahead and give her a follow. Clearly she's on Rumble now, or unless she's over there on YouTube. Let me know. Are you over on YouTube watching us, or you're on Rumble watching us? Either way, give her a follow. Awesome chick. So but yeah, no, homelessness fraud in the state of California is so bad. I also saw too, and I'll say this, right? I work in hazard mitigation, work for the California Office of Emergency Services. There's a lot of good people that work and do a lot of good work trying to help other Californians specifically. But the amount of money that has gone into wildfire prevention, wildfire mitigation, that has seen absolutely no work. And specifically, let's just talk about the most recent travesty that's happened here in the Palisades fire. No, all of this money that got directed to help those people did not make it there. Not to mention, a considerable amount of those homes were purchased up by private equity, and not just private equity that is American private equity, but foreign private equity. And because of the disclosures and the laws that protect those purchases, we don't know what those foreign private equity firms were that purchased up a lot of this land. But more than likely, to me, in my opinion, is probably Chinese land, considering its location now. But all of this money did not go to the people whose homes were burnt down or were no longer able to return there because all of that land got bulldozed and basically determined to be unfit for them to live in, right? And there's that whole scam where they essentially said, well, we are rebuilding homes, and we just rebuilt the first home from the Palisades fire and are finally helping out Californians. Come to find out that the home that they built actually was a home that had been scheduled to be built for like years before the Palisades fire happened. And Karen Bass just used it to try to get a quick W. So anyway, all of this money that goes into wildfire mitigation for the most part doesn't make it where it's supposed to. Things don't happen. We don't manage forests here in the state of California the way that we should. We got 2 Rumble rants in the chat. I see you guys. We'll get to those in a second. Truly appreciate you guys donating. But again, I said this at the top of the show, and I'll say it again. You cannot convince me that California is not a massive money laundering program specifically for the Democrats. And it's sad too, because California is more purple right, red and blue, than people realize, especially in the Sacramento area. Some of these other counties, right, El Dorado County, Shasta County, some of these places around Sacramento, there are a lot of conservatives who get screwed over all the time because of the way, voting, quote unquote, here happens in the state of California. So Spencer Pratt, I saw running for mayor of LA. He's been, if you guys were probably tracking him on social media, used to be on, what was that show that he was on? You guys help me out in the chat. Spencer Pratt. Anyway, reality TV star for a long time, had his home burned down at the Palisades, and has been crucifying Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass ever since then, specifically talking about these reservoirs that were emptied and some of the other failures going on. But the state of California, I truly hope there's some success in rooting out corruption in that state. I think that once you start to pull on that thread, you'll wind up finding a lot of other things. The hills. Thank you. Yeah. So no, California deserves all that fucking smoke, and I hope it happens. So we'll jump into these Rumble rants here from Brandon. Obviously, Brandon, dude, we see you all the time, man. It's really good to see you again. I hope that you had a good Christmas and a good New Year's. Dollar Rumble Rant says, good evening, boys. I did not get to the notification you were live. Go ahead to see you in this good to see you in the new year. Hope you guys had a great holiday. Keep the fire burner, not one step back, never a step back, dude. In fact, we got some big news we'll announce at the end of the show. Taking a couple steps forward, we hope. MP Shiner 5150, when they cleaned up homeless in San Francisco, all they did was move them to the other side of the city. That's correct. Yep, I remember when that happened.
Swept all the needles down the drain, and then
right. If you're from Cali, is that 5150 a reference to being insane? Let me know. So, but yeah, let's go, dude. Let's make it happen. I don't know who they're going to hire to investigate, but I'm anxious to see who it is, and we'll learn about it.
No, same. All right. Well, that brings us to the end of the kick around. That was a long one tonight, but it's been so long since we've been with you guys that we had a lot of stuff to catch up on, obviously. So now is going to be a good time, if you guys need to grab a drink, as it were, top off anything, because well, not Brandon, just me, because I'm the bad guy here. Is getting ready to sell you guys something really quick. Hey, Rumble has always been really good to us, and we want to be good back to them, guys. So there's going to be a QR code that pops up on your screen right there. And Rumble is in the process of expanding. They're getting their Rumble wallet up and going. Brandon and I haven't set ours up yet, but moving forward, if you guys want to, if you're crypto people out there, you'll be willing, or you'll be able, if you are willing, is the way that I should have said that, to tip your favorite content creators using crypto coming up here in the future. So they can cancel your accounts, freeze your cards, decide what you're allowed to buy, say, or support. Big banks and financial institutions have total control, and they use it. Brandon, you remember them turning off all of the truckers' financial accounts in Canada?
I do remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what digital currency is good for.
Anyway. That's what it'll do for you. That's why financial independence matters now more than ever. Introducing Rumble Wallet, a wallet built for real freedom. With Rumble Wallet, you control your money, not a bank, not a government, and not a tech company. Buy digital assets like Tether Gold, and Bitcoin in one secure place. No permission, no middlemen, no cancel button. And when you want to support the creators you actually believe in, well, you can support them using the Rumble Wallet app to directly tip content creators securely, instantly, and without interference. This isn't a credit line that can shut off. It's your wallet, permanently yours, to protect your future, yours to protect your family. And when the system fails, when institutions turn on their own people, financial sovereignty is the difference between security and vulnerability. Rumble Wallet isn't about politics. It's about freedom, ownership, and protecting what's yours. So take control today. Download Rumble Wallet now and step away from the big banks for good. True ownership, true protection, true financial freedom. Thank you to Rumble, and thank you to all of you guys out there. Go check it out. As always, I am not a financial consultant whatsoever. Do what makes sense for you, and always do all of your own research before you make any decisions like that. But thank you, Rumble, and we be back. And guys, just like always, I'm not going to sell you something without coming up for just a little bit of air. So we're going to do this before we head off over into the no-knock breakdown. And just to let you guys know, the no-knock breakdown and kind of the main segment, the meat and potatoes, it's going to be one kind of big thing tonight. So we basically just have kind of two big segments that we're working with because of everything that happened in Minnesota today and because of all of the tactics that went into it. Brandon and I figured we're just going to break it down all at once and then talk about the fallout and everything that's happening from it from this afternoon, this morning, into what's actually happening right now on the ground over in Minneapolis. So when we get there, YouTube guys, we're going to have to say goodbye to you Giga Chads that are hanging out over there. But if you want to hang out with us for the rest of the night, just come on over to Rumble and hang out with us there. But let's take a gander at what we got. I'll give you guys one last palate cleanser before we bounce.
There's no way that's AI.
It absolutely is, man. Look at the fingers.
Oh, damn, man. What the hell?
Dude, I know. It's so messed up.
Oh, my God. It's like, how do you even know what's real anymore?
I don't know. It's like you got to scrutinize everything now. You got to scrutinize everything. 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 What? Oh, no. Nothing. Why are you looking at me like that? You're just covering your hands. Okay, so? I'd feel a lot better if you could just show me your fingers, man. Listen, dude, I'm your friend. I'm human. I'm real. Okay, then it'd be easy to prove. Or maybe you're just another AI phony.
Oh, my God. Here. Both my hands, fingers wiggling, everything. I'm real, okay?
Okay. No, now you. Eat this spaghetti.
Oh, come on. I don't really want to. Of course you wouldn't, you synthetic fuck.
Okay, fine. Here you go. I'm gonna eat the spaghetti. Here we go.
Doesn't seem real enough to you? You could just be running a more advanced model.
You're paranoid now, man. You're going crazy. There's only one way to find out.
Oh, yeah? What?
Let's see who's really real. You robot AI fuck! Fucking AI piece of shit. Oh, I know you're AI. I'm gonna prove it. Oh! You're fucking AI.
Stop. Shut up.
You're fucking AI.
Shut up.
What is that? What's in there?
Bitch? Are you cake?
Button?
Oh my God! Why didn't you tell me? Queen!
I'm so sorry. I'm so happy you're not AI.
Thank God you're not AI.
Do you want to watch more fake slots? For sure, yeah. Just give me 1 sec.
Okay, cool.
Fuck yeah. You taste great, by the way.
He's so creative, man.
That got meta AF, dude.
Right, dude. Bitch, is this cake?
Are you cake? Buttons? All right. Brendan, let me know behind the scenes when you were watching that, guys. I completely and totally forgot a story that we were supposed to throw up before we moved on, and it's because I had him out of order. So we are going to talk about this, guys, on YouTube. You get to hang out for just a little bit longer, so say thank you to Brandon. We are going to talk about this Greenland thing that's happening because Trump said it's going to be ours because we need it for national security. So,
I mean, yeah, let's watch Marco Rubio talk about it real quick, and we'll talk.
Let's do it.
Your comments to lawmakers, does the U.S. intend to buy Greenland? Does the U.S. intend to buy Greenland? Can you clarify your comments to lawmakers this week?
Well, that's always been the president's intent from the very beginning. He said it very early on. I mean, this is not new. He talked about it in his first term, and he's not the first U.S. president that has examined or looked at how could we acquire Greenland. There's an interest there. But so I just reminded them of the fact that not only did Truman want to do it, but President Trump's been talking about this since his first term.
The White House put out a statement last night saying that the military option is on the table. Thank you, Mr. Secretary. They said the military option is on the table. So is the administration really willing to risk the NATO alliance by potentially moving ahead?
This is why he just pulled out of all those treaties?
Said yesterday is what I will tell you now, and I've always said. The president always retained the option. Every president, not this president, every president always retains the option. I'm not talking about Greenland. I'm just talking about globally. If the president identifies a threat to the national security of the United States, every president retains the option to address it through military means. As a diplomat, which is what I am now, and what we work on, we always prefer to settle it in different ways. That included in Venezuela. We tried repeatedly to reach an outcome here that did not involve having to go in and grab an indicted drug trafficker. Those were unsuccessful, unfortunately.
The people of Venezuela are waking up to the same regime. Do you not worry about that?
Well, first of all, the bottom line is that there is a process now in place where we have tremendous control and leverage over what those interim authorities are doing and are able to do. But obviously this will be a process of transition. In the end, it will be up to the Venezuelan people to transform their country. We are prepared under the right conditions, using the leverage that we have, which includes the fact that they cannot move any oil unless we allow them to move it to... Well, again, I'm not going to give you a timeline on it. We wanted to move as soon as possible. But we didn't expect this would... It's been 3 days since this happened, 4 days since this happened. So I understand that in this cycle and society we now live in, everyone wants instant outcomes. They want it to happen overnight. It's not going to work that way. But we're already seeing progress. With this new deal that's been announced and more deals to follow, you're already seeing how the leverage the United States has over those interim authorities is going to begin to lead to positive outcomes.
How much does this cost American taxpayers? How long should
it doesn't
American
cost
public?
us. It doesn't cost us.
The U.S. involvement in Venezuela. How much will it cost?
Well, it isn't going to cost us any money. For example, this oil deal that's happening doesn't cost us any money. On the contrary, and if it opens up,
no money to
well,
the
look, I don't have the numbers. What operation are you talking about? The entire thing?
Yeah.
Well, these troops are going to be deployed. None of these troops sit in a dry dock waiting for action. They're deployed somewhere in the world. If they're not here, they're somewhere else. Just today, our forces not deployed to the Caribbean seized a boat, a sanctioned boat tied to the IRGC that tried to flee from us. That happened somewhere else. We are constantly involved in action. We have boats in the Mediterranean. We have ships in the Middle East. We have ships in the Indo-Pacific. These ships, if they weren't in the Caribbean...
Yep. Yeah, first off, can I just say, like, look at Marco Rubio actually answering fucking questions, dude.
Right.
Like, none of that shit was fluff. Every single one of those answers was exactly what that person asked for, in detail, quantified, everything. Every single one of those questions that they asked got answered. I wanted to hear or want everybody to hear what he had to say about Venezuela too. Especially that piece about the troops. Listen, man, it doesn't matter where the fuck troops are at. They could be at home jacking off, or they could be out kicking doors in Venezuela. They're gonna get fucking
jacking
paid,
off.
right? Yeah, exactly. They're gonna get paid. Like, are they gonna get paid a little bit extra for flight duty? Sure, but like, yeah. So if you're worried about, like, the money that this costs, like, yeah, it's going to be offset by the oil. That's what he's talking about. But those guys are getting paid no matter what. Like, they're salaried, pay grade fucking NCOs out there doing their shit. But anyway, okay, let's talk.
Yeah, what a weird question that was too. Like,
I know, dude. Like, anyway, dude, get better questions. But he answered it though, didn't he? He answered it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so let's talk Greenland. This is something that actually, before Chris's time with this podcast, we had a whole conversation with somebody who used to own Tanbreeze, which was the world's largest. It was a rare earth mining company who owned the world's largest rare earth deposit in the world, and that rare earth deposit exists in Greenland.
I talked to him.
You talked to Chris. Yeah. Well, I mean, you weren't the host for that episode where we talked about Greenland. Like, that's that first time we talked to him.
We talked about it the one time that we had him on too, though.
Oh, I don't remember doing that. Anyway, the first time we talked about it, it wasn't you. It was me and Zach.
First time, probably.
That's what I'm saying.
Because I know you told me, like, hey, we've had him on before, and then, like, we're going to talk to him again. But yeah.
Okay.
I'm just saying I remember who you were talking about. Sorry.
Yeah. No. Anyway, I say all of that to say that this has been on Trump's plate for a long time. People who are building the infrastructure for rare earth mining are coming to Donald Trump and have been since before he was president. I'm talking about the time frame here where he's flirting with the idea, understanding what the United States is lacking, and talking about like a 2014, 2015, leading on into running for president. Mr. President, Donald Trump, we need rare earths in the United States. Mr. President, are you aware of what's going on in the Arctic with the Russians and the Chinese? Are you aware that the United States is falling behind the Chinese and the Russians when it comes to icebreakers and ships like this in the Arctic? Are you aware of the travel routes that go across the top of the world in and around the Western Hemisphere? All of these things, right? This is not new. This is a legitimate national security threat. And I just want to remind everybody that, as with most things, there is a lot of history when it comes to the United States and the things we do for other people's national sovereignty. You may remember, if you're a history buff, that at one point in time, Europe was at war, and I'm talking about World War II, and Denmark surrendered to Nazi Germany in 6 hours. And the guarantee for the national sovereignty of Greenland at the time still rested with Denmark. And guess what the United States did, technically illegally, when that happened? They continued to guarantee the sovereignty and defend the nation of Greenland when Denmark surrendered to Nazi Germany. So it's not like the United States hasn't done it before. This is something that has happened one other time. And look, man, 90% of what Greenland exports is fish and other fucking sea life, right? This is what they do. They are right there outside the United States. This is something 100%. if Greenland decided tomorrow that they were going to let the United States purchase it or whatever, okay, that would immediately turn their GDP from what it is into something massive. They would be able to enjoy all the fruits of American infrastructure, the military industrial complex, travel and tourism, which is travel and tourism is something that Greenland relies on completely and totally. All of these things would instantaneously get better. Like the fact that Denmark, this is old guarantee that they have, okay? Denmark wants to continue to pretend like this wouldn't be better, not just for Greenland, but the entirety of Europe in general, right? Because who's guaranteed the sovereignty by letting our men and women in uniform patrol the waters around the European peninsula is the United States, right? I hope that there is a deal brokered for the reasons I mentioned when it comes to rare earths, when it comes to Arctic warfare positioning, when it comes to deterring Russian and Chinese threats to the Western Hemisphere, all of these things. So I hope this happens. That would be massive to be able to pull Greenland in. And we do have military resources there. There's Thule Air Force Base, which by the way, does missile detection and security for not just the United States, but the majority of Europe, right? From who? I'll give you guys one guess. But this is a no-brainer win, not just for the United States, but for Greenland and just like everything else, Europe in general and Denmark. Like this, I do not think there will need to be some sort of military action. I don't want to see military action to take Greenland. I think that's ridiculous. I just wish that people could put their fucking egos and their pearl clutching down for a second and do the cost benefit analysis on this and just come away with the most logical conclusion here. So
it's just like anything else, because Donald Trump is saying it. Everybody's completely and totally against it. If Barack Obama would have said it, they would have thought that God himself came down and carved it on a stone tablet for him.
Mm-hmm.
It's exactly that's all that's going on here.
That's true.
And honestly, I'm sick and tired of it. And I think that most people in the United States are. I honestly think the news media has cried wolf to a point that unless you're like baptized into like the Hollywood class or the elite, I think that most people are like are callous to it.
Mm-hmm. Well, who else in Europe is going to protect not just Europe, but the waters in the Arctic the way the United States can? Literally no one. Right?
Well, the United States is already de facto providing their security because
that's what I'm saying.
They're off our coast, right?
Who's going to step up, right, and fill in the gap the United States is trying to fill by positioning themselves in Greenland? Nobody. The healthiest economy in Europe is Germany, and unfortunately, just like in most other European countries, they're dealing with postmodernist Marxist retards, right? The only other economies in Europe that are even pro-US, tend to be kind of broke or too small to do these things. Italy isn't running out ships to go into the Arctic and defend European sovereignty or the sovereignty of the West, right? Like just the fact that to me, it's not that these people are so stupid. Okay. I mean, they are stupid. It's not that they're so stupid that they don't realize it. They are intentionally cutting off their noses to spite their faces because they are globalist shills. That is it at the end of the day. To sit there and pretend like this is just American greed and imperialism is ridiculous. Like that all that says right there is you are discounting everything the U.S. has ever done for you and continues to do, right, by guaranteeing your shipping ways, by being inside your countries and propping up your economies. Remove the Kaiserslautern military community from Germany today and watch that region collapse, okay? Literally, you name a country, Japan, name a state, right? It's crazy how much the United States and American citizens hold up the economies of so many other countries around the world. Right. This is just like, okay, I'm gonna shout out to Aaron Love, our homeboy, who we were talking this morning, and he was talking about a line in Fight Club when Jared Leto is getting his ass kicked for being too beautiful. And there's a monologue going on. And one of the things he says is I want to put a bullet in the head of every panda that won't fuck to save its own species. This is exactly the perfect analogy for what the hell is going on in Europe right now. 100%. And it's just, I don't understand. This is like the most no-brainer thing ever. And here we are having to quantify it and make comments about going in with the U.S. military, right?
When
Like,
when it
just
should be a
nuts.
perfectly common sense thing, like a
Right.
no duh thing. And I like what
No
Dr.
duh.
Catmilk said here, that the U.S. defense of Europe allows for their lackluster
Facts.
public health care. Yeah, absolutely. It goes back to the fungibility of money, because we're providing and standing up and providing their defense. They're able to shift that money into all these social welfare programs like public health care and so on and the like. And then they have the audacity to turn around and like morally grandstand and look back at us and say like, hey, we're better than you because look at all these social welfare programs we have. To when you like when sorry, to your point, Brandon, if we were to just be like, all right, fine, and just removed all of the US bases from overseas where we have guys forward staged, like economy crashed tomorrow. Now, of course, we wouldn't do that because it provides us with strategic forward staging, which is one of the reasons that our military enjoys a projection of force capability that no other military in the world can even come close to matching. Right. So it's like we still get something out of the deal, but by far, right, they're getting more out of it. They're the dude, right, that gets to skip, like he skips guard shift by hiding out somewhere in the perimeter and you can't find him, and then somebody else has to pull 2 guard shifts because you snuck away, like you know what I mean, like left the sleeping bag and went off to sleep somewhere else and nobody can find you, like that's and so you get to stay more comfortable and warm and nice in your fart sack while somebody else is doing all the heavy lifting. You know what I mean? And that's a stupid military analogy that probably nobody else got.
It works though. Well, no, it works. I agree. JD Atkinson says right here, I wholeheartedly believe that Greenland will be ours. I agree. I think at some point it's going to happen. Listen, there are already American military assets in Greenland. Like it just, first and foremost, I'm sorry, but like law of the jungle, like if we fucking really want it, we're going to. I hope it doesn't go to something like that. But like at the end of the day, like this is just the way it fucking is. And I'm going to, again, quote our buddy Aaron, but like the United States is the gorilla in the room. And this is just smacking bitches left and right is what's going on right now. And clearly 2026 has started off in fuck around and find out mode. So we shall see. But yeah, Greenland, it makes all the sense in the world, not to mention, right, these deposits, the rare earth deposits, like these are things for national security, all of these high-tech missile systems and defense systems and things like that we are building, jets, all that stuff, right, depends on these things. We found deposits here in the United States. There are massive deposits of these things. Neodymium, I think, is one of the main ones. There's another one. I'm trying, the name of it is, they have such weird names, rare earths that exist in Greenland. But those rights, obviously, you know, let it happen, man. Watch the West return to prominence and rebuild. Like what if we fuck around and rebuild the West and wind up better than we were before? Like I dare say, like let's be bold for once in our fucking lives. You know what I'm saying? For our children.
It's like that. It's like what I was saying back during the beginning of the election cycle on this live stream. It's like it always falls to the patriots, right? And like we're unfortunately are going to drag these human wastes of skin into success, kicking and screaming along beside us. Yeah, that's just the way that it is. But I would still rather the country be better off for my children, even if these other wastes of humanity get to partake of the bounty as well. It's like I'm still doing it for my children. You know what I mean? Like, dude, what am I going to do? Let society fall for the boys? You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that's it. That's literally for posterity's sake. The perfect analogy here is we're at Disneyland and you're holding a fucking ice cream cone and you're still crying about it. You know, like that's what this is. And I have to drag you to Dumbo's ride. Like you're going to have fun. God damn it. You know what I mean? Like that's what's going on. You know, like for real though, that's it. Like you are in the happiest place on earth, right? Exactly with an ice cream cone. Exactly. Let's fucking go, Junior. You know, but here we are. O'Connor's right stand. Yeah, you will have fun. Mandatory fun time. That's what this is, dude. O'Connor's right stand. What's up? I've seen several comments in here. I appreciate it. What are your thoughts on Canada now trying to acquire Greenland today? If Canada said that, they're retarded. Mark Carney 100% works for the CCP. If I'm going to put it this way, let Greenland or Denmark start having legitimate conversations with Canada about Canada buying Greenland, because 100% that is a proxy for the CCP if Canada starts doing that. Okay. Yeah. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. That will be the fucking last straw, and it will be something will fucking, like Maduro had a real nice ride in an aircraft carrier. We don't have to pull Mark Carney that far. Just saying.
I love my Canadian brothers and sisters, right? When I talk about this, I'm talking about the government of Canada, obviously not the Canadian people. There's a lot of patriots, especially out west in like BC and whatnot. But the United States allows Canada to play country. At no other
America's
point,
hat.
at no other point in world history would such an unserious government be allowed to persist on the border of an empire as strong as ours without being subjugated. It just wouldn't happen. Like Canada is proof of America's benevolence and restraint.
Yeah. Listen, man, I want to say this because we do have some Canadians who watch this show, and there are a lot of Canadian GWAT veterans who aren't like this at all. And 100%, mad respect to the Canadians that showed up with us in the desert to do that for 20 years. There's a lot of Canadians that did that. And listen, Canadians kick some ass during some of these world wars we've had too, but that's not the Canada of today right now. Like I'm not talking about these GWAT vets, but spending time over in Germany and attending things like the NATO Academy and spending other time around NATO partners, the Canadian forces that I had the opportunity, I should say, to spend some time around were some of the most unprofessional people I've ever met in my life. And it was a shame. Some of the most badass people I ever met in my life were the Norwegian Rangers. So those guys are fucking literally look like Vikings walking around. They look cool as shit. But those guys are harder than fucking diamond plated steel. So
woodpecker lips, baby. Yeah. We got a couple of super chats to catch up on, or rumble rants. Yeah. So here by Alicia Victoria. Hey, love you, girl. See, California has a lot more red than people think. This 2023 election showed the tide, which is why Newsom wanted to redistrict. Newsom, not for president, please. Yeah, no, absolutely not. So and I guess I've heard some type of argument going around where it's like Republicans should support Newsom because it would be a good person for JD Vance to run against or whatever. I don't like to play those games. I don't like to. I don't like to play against scarecrows or put in opposition to run against. I don't trust that dude. He is a talented liar.
Yes.
And I think that you are far underestimating him if you're out there saying like support him so that way we can beat him. That's a dumb game to play. You are playing with fire if you do that. And then MP Shiner 5150. This is back. You asked him a question. He said, I've used 5150 for years, but it's from the California Penal Code.
Yeah, no.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Penal Code.
Penal Code.
Dude, this is why I said that about Canadian GY.
Thanks for the rumble
right here.
Guys.
Red Devil 27. One Papa Charlie Lima. I'm not sure what that is, what the specialty code here or MOS, whatever you guys call it in the Canadian military is for there. But a Canadian vet here, please fucking annex us. That's why I said what I said, man. There's a lot of good fucking broskies up there that, swinging dicks walking around up there. Absolutely. We know that. And dude, listen, even like when I was in Germany, there's tons of Germans who are sick and tired of their government. Absolutely. Like Merkel let those Syrian refugees destroy a lot of Germany's historical sites. I've seen it happen firsthand. Barbarossa's castle is one of those that got destroyed by letting these fucking people build tents inside there and shit and piss all over these walls. Like this, that's like letting a bunch of Somalians move into Mount Vernon and shit and piss all over the walls. Like literally, it's just, dude, it's terrible.
Not Somalians, but they tried to, not Mount Vernon either. I think you said that and I thought about Martha's Vineyard, but they sent a busload of migrants up to Martha's Vineyard. You remember how long that lasted? Like 12 hours.
Dude, yeah, not even, dude.
They had them bust right out of there, dude.
Right. Yeah. He says Princess Patricia's Canadian Light Infantry Task Force 3-09. Hell yeah, man. Hey, cool. Appreciate you jumping in. Yeah. I'll tell you right now, this is a community for you. So if you want to give us a follow, it'd be appreciated. But either way, appreciate you hanging out, man.
Absolutely. All right. Well, that was
Canadians did what we could after the convoy hope was lost. Yeah, man. See, I knew you guys are in the fucking chat, man.
They are.
Absolutely.
They are.
Connor's right. Stan says, no, Newsom is dangerous. Liberals and independents will buy in without any research. Oh, yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Single issue voters, like all those guys, 100%. Dude, he is slick as fucking oil, man. The guy is a used car salesman through. Like you said, when you said he's a talented liar is probably the most accurate description for that man.
Dude, don't underestimate him. You remember him sitting down with Charlie Kirk, and he almost sounded sane. He was able to collect himself very well.
Sophistry. Absolutely. He's a
you know,
talented
and
sophist.
he had you thinking like about the whole,
I'm
you know,
moderate.
transgender sports. Yeah, he was trying to play the moderate, but then he retreated back into that. Well, it's like, I think we need to have compassion for people and try to like make it this emotional issue. And for a second, if you bought into it, you'd be like, oh well, maybe I am. Hold on, maybe I need to rethink this. He's talented, dude.
Yep. Oh, he's absolutely,
So, yeah,
absolutely. No, I still can't believe Sean Ryan gifted him a gun, dude. Talk about
what a waste.
pearls to swine right there, dude.
Yeah, right?
$10 Rumble rant.
Hey, thank you.
Corky VG, dude. Hell yeah, thank you. Says nice to have you guys back. Missed your podcast. Hope all is well. Thank you. Glad to be back. Glad to see you guys in the chat for real, man. Like I said, Christmas break is always too short, but it felt like a long time since we've seen you guys. So
we got big news, big moves coming in 2026, guys. This is going to be our year, and we're really excited to share it with you. We're doing a lot
like
this
a
year.
woman too. There it is. Dude, I said that the second I said that crazy
he's
duck lady said Newsom crosses his legs like Trudeau. Bro, they're the same person.
He's smooth as a human Ken doll down there, dude.
Literally, man. Like, dude, they are like cut from the same fucking cloth. Literally. It's so weird, bro. Like, it's like Newsom is definitely like gay, but like Trudeau is just like a fucking flaming, just it's crazy, dude. It's nighttime and then later at night. Like, that's what it is. Like, that's all, bro. Hey, Red Devil subscribe, dude. Hell yeah. Appreciate you, man.
Dude, thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Welcome in.
Welcome in.
All right, guys. Well, that was the final story that we actually have for you tonight. So now we're going to go ahead and transition over to kind of the meat and potatoes, and it's going to start with the no knock. It's all kind of one big bowl of spaghetti tonight. So if you are hanging out over on YouTube or over on X, I would ask that you guys come on over to Rumble, as we are going to terminate. We're going to terminate YouTube. You can hang out on X still, but come on over to Rumble if you're still hanging out over there, because the rest of the night's going to be here. YouTube is not going to like what we're getting ready to talk about, and they certainly don't like showing violence. But Brandon and I always show it to you the way it really happened, and then we're going to break it down for you. So, hey, if you're over on YouTube, Vio con Dios, go with God. Don't be a dick.